This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores!
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Anzio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik with a touchdown.
Now here's Paul Catalina and Craig Smoak.
Welcome in 365 Sports, Paul and Craig. Hello to the chat. Hello to everyone. We have details on Sherrone Moore and his criminal proceeding today, his arraignment. We'll also talk about some coaching moves and the SEC schedule for 2026. Next season dropped last night. It's kind of interesting in that that second to last week, there's the least amount of SEC specials that there have been in that week. So I'm kind of curious to talk about that with Craig. But first of all, Craig, hello. How's it going?
Hello, chat. Hello, everybody out there watching or listening. Appreciate you being with us once again and closing out another week as we get into mid-December. And I can report that today's the first time I feel like not sick in over a week. Yeah. So happy to report progress and happy to be feeling better today and be rolling into the weekend feeling not like I want to just cough everywhere. So that's great.
So, I mean, if people weren't aware of Craig's timeline last week, he was here on Monday. I want to say you're here on Monday, right? But you after Thanksgiving, and then you I
was here Tuesday as well. And Tuesday I started feeling bad.
Tuesday you could tell his voice was starting to go, but you think like that happens this time of year.
Yeah.
Like towards the end of the show, I could tell you looked kind of tired, but I didn't think anything of it. And then when you texted, I was like, yeah, his voice was really kind of like starting to fade. And then when we saw you on Friday, very briefly, I was like, oh, I'm surprised he's alive.
Yeah, I showed up because I'm married to the game, and I needed to be here because we were going to Dallas the next day for the Big 12 championship. And then very quickly I got here, and I was like, I don't know that this is a good idea. And y'all didn't – I know you specifically weren't trying to get sick or anything. So ended up crashing out for a couple days and then finally getting back this week. Long story short, but yeah, it's been a whole week of just off and on. And
you had to have an emergency root canal.
Had
this
to have
week.
emergency root canal.
Yeah.
Like then I had just like the random cleaning that was also the same week, and so it's just been like this weird set of days in a row. But you know what? I'm having a way better week than Sherrone Moore.
Yeah,
that's
true.
for sure.
Yeah.
So I take this over what he's dealing with 10 times out of 10,
yeah.
No doubt about it. But yeah, I'm just glad to feel better. Anybody who's been sick knows how that feels, just to get on the other side of things. So today I feel like I did. So what's up, chat? What's up, everybody? Hope y'all are having a good one.
So let's get into it with Sherrone Moore. He has been charged with third-degree home invasion, which is a felony, and then 2 misdemeanors, stalking and breaking and entering, or entering without breaking. I guess that will be determined later on. But so he's got a felony, 2 misdemeanors that he has been charged with. And then to follow that up with some details here on what happened, or what allegedly happened. The prosecutor in the case alleges Moore went to the victim's house, grabbed butter knives, also I think kitchen scissors, said he was going to take his life and that she would have his blood on her hands and that she ruined his life. Continuing on with the details of the relationship, the prosecutor says Sherrone Moore and the woman had an intimate relationship for a number of years. Our victim broke up with the defendant on Monday morning. She presented herself to the school and corroborated the fact that they had a relationship. And then that's what led us here. So Sherrone Moore's life really blew up this week. And there are a lot of unanswered questions when it comes to, okay, so what were the rumors about? Because a lot of people there's been rumors of Sherrone Moore getting run out this year for weeks into the season, since about October. But Michigan's timeline is they just found out about it this week on Monday, and then that's what happened. So I guess if you follow the timeline, they were investigating, they hit some sort of dead end on this, but people maybe knew about it, and then she ended it. And then now we have what we have.
I've read it a little bit differently and taken it in a little bit differently. And so this is where the reporting is in this era just very messy.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep track of what's true because I've seen 3 different stories that paint this 3 different ways, legitimately. And so it's hard to kind of narrow in on what exactly the real story is. But best I can tell, from reading the latest ESPN article and just reading all of the stuff over the past few days, like they were aware something was going on. I believe they got talked to in the summer, and they both denied it. And so bear with me here because, again, I'm just trying to piece this all together like everyone else. It would be, I think, prudent by ESPN or somebody who does have all of the facts at their disposal to put like a clear timeline of kind of how all of this went. But me trying to patch it together is the rumors were floating out for months, Paul. Like this isn't like on Monday they were like, what? It's like, no, they've known for a while. I think they even addressed it with them and they denied it. And I guess there's not really much you could do or that you wanted to maybe do at the time. But the first assistant prosecutor detailed the timeline. This is from ESPN. Of Moore's actions after the firing. The prosecutor also detailed that Moore had an intimate relationship with the woman he worked with for a number of years before she ended the relationship on Monday. So she ended the relationship on Monday. The split prompted a flurry of calls and texts from Moore that the woman did not return. And then his actions in the wake of her breaking up with him led her to go to the officials at Michigan and lay out all of the details of their relationship. They had previously investigated, like I said, a tip about the investigation, but could not prove it occurred. So then once she came forward and said, all right, no, it was true, and here's the evidence that it was true, that's when they said, all right, boom, fired for cause. That's like the shortest, briefest timeline I can give you is that. So basically she finally decided to end it. He flipped out. She went to Michigan and said, all right, here's all the proof that you were looking for. And here we go. And that's like the quickest start to finish story of this. But yes, there are the details about like the timing of the, like, I don't know about all of that messiness part of it. And I think there's some reporting on that, but that was from ESPN, and then it gets into like him going to her apartment, and that's where I guess he went to her apartment, and then after that she went to Michigan. Like that's the part that's kind of fuzzy. So I guess she broke up with him, and then he flipped out. Like I feel like I'm trying to put together like a Days of Our Lives episode or something. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's parts of the timeline that I'm not completely and totally clear about, but so they were on to this. I mean, I think people were, and these are things, plus like when it comes to the legality of things, if you can't prove something, but even though most people in an office know it's going on, like you can't do anything about it legally and not get sued. So I guess in that regard, Michigan's hands are tied. Where I become very skeptical here is that I don't really trust Michigan to adjudicate things out with this regard, truthfully. So that's where I get skeptical on. So what really derailed you? Did you just maybe not want to know this information? Like you did your part of like, oh, we investigated, we didn't find anything out, we're not going to do anything about it. That's where I get a little suspicious of Michigan overall.
Yeah, well, I mean, my point of view is that Sherrone Moore's a piece of garbage, and he's got what's coming to him, and I don't know what's going to result in, but it's already resulted in like the complete gasoline and then torching of his football coaching career. Now, in football coaching, a lot of guys do scummy things, and they work their way back into the system somehow or another. But he's just never going to be the head coach at a school like Michigan ever again. Like, that's for certain if he coaches ever again, and that's the least of his concerns at this point. So my focus is on him and also the woman he was with. I mean, she's scum as well. She's not like some pure victim in all of this. I mean, he was married and had kids, so she knew what she was doing to some extent as well. But now I do notice that the turn in the story is to like, how can we blast Michigan for this and make it about Michigan and what they did or did not do? And I understand that part of it. I don't know. I don't trust Michigan either. I don't trust any university. I want to make that very clear. I don't trust any university to just do the best thing for anybody but themselves. I feel like they all probably work in trying to not harm themselves before they finally have to maybe do something. And maybe that was the case in this story for Michigan is they just – I don't know. I just – maybe they didn't have what they needed to have to pull the trigger until she came forward, and then they did. Or maybe they already had it, and maybe they were just waiting until the end of the year. I don't know. I'm not really that interested in that part of it, honestly, but I know why most people are, is because it does put them in the crosshairs of like, what is your involvement, especially when they've had so many strange things go on there over the last few years where there's no reason to trust them. And at the same time, they have no reason to trust reporters because they feel like they're constantly being witch hunted, even though they've given ammunition to be witch hunted over and over again for all these various things that have happened. So I'm sure that the reporters out there will continue to dig into the Michigan side and see what they knew. And that will be interesting to learn about what was what. But yeah, I don't trust their side of the story all the way. I don't know what to believe as far as the firing goes, other than I think they probably had just finally gotten to a point where they wanted to fire him, and they had all of the necessities to fire him and to do so cleanly without having to spend any money to do so.
And then it got messier.
And then it got messier than they probably anticipated because he flipped out the way that he did. Yeah. And so then it blew it up and made it this whole other thing. But, I think Michigan will still be under the microscope a little bit for this. They won't have any probably massive undoing because of it. And, like, to be clear, the Ward Manuel thing, that report yesterday was wrong.
Just about to get to it. Yeah. And the thing, like, and we even said on the show, we're like, it's one report. It appears that way, but then we had two different guests that were like, I guess they're, hiring a new AD as well, but that turned out not to be true. But Michigan didn't even confirm or deny that until much later after that report.
Yeah, they shouldn't have to.
Yeah,
that's weird. But they also, if they or any business or anybody just sat there and had to like react to every time somebody put something about them on social media, that would need a full-time job. Yeah. So like, you can't just sit there as Michigan and Joe Rignikowski throws some random thing up and you're like, well, he's got 30,000 followers. Like nobody's saying no. Well, that doesn't mean it's true. So that was some false report, and that, you just kind of saw where it came from. And that was another reminder of you can't just take things at face value because it wasn't true and Ward Manuel's still the AD. But you've got to think, like, what does he have, man? And his clock's got to be ticking. How many things have to happen under his leadership that you go, like, we just need a whole clean slate over here in Ann Arbor. We just need to – I don't know the politics of it all. I don't know the sway that he has or whatever, so I can't speak on it with any real in-depth knowledge, so I'll stray from doing that. But every time I see the guy's name, it's never for any good reason. It's always because they're in some sort of a mess, and he's the AD that's leading them.
Or he's been the spokesman for the CFP
or the
committee.
which is a mess itself.
Yeah, so, I don't have positive vibes. I think ultimately they're going to have to move on from him because this just did not end cleanly at all.
Yeah.
And this is not – with the Harbaugh era, and we don't know if this is the end of it or not. We have no idea. I mean,
I would think that it'd probably be a good time to move on from it.
But if anybody wouldn't, it would be Michigan.
Well, it would be Michigan, yeah.
Kind of indignant about everything that's gone on.
But that's where I get into the weird, like, sort of the weird part of college football where people hang on to certain people and deity them. Like it's just like, I don't know, like at this point, he won you a national title. You guys had the storybook. You nearly had the crash out because of this scandal that could have derailed it, and it didn't. And then he flees to the NFL. I mean, he just got a job and he decided the timing was right. He flees to the NFL though. And then you kind of feel like maybe you still maintained what he had. And then this embarrassing as hell story happens with his former assistant. And you would think, like, yeah, maybe now you just move on, but they're going to do what they're going to do because they're Michigan and they're pretty bulletproof. And so we'll see what they do. But it would seem to me to be a great time to just start a new era from AD on down. And they'll have no shortage of suitors, so they'll be able to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, we have breaking news. Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah, just a little quicker on the draw, but
quicker, a little quicker.
Just a little quicker.
Kyle Whittingham. His last game will be the bowl game on New Year's Eve for Utah. He is retiring. Obviously, Morgan Scalley has been the coach in waiting there for a little bit. So he is retiring. Las Vegas Bowl on December 31st. So that'll be it for Kyle Whittingham, who's had a legendary career at Utah. Has led them to some pretty high highs, and is he's a little bit of the last of a dying breed of like the grizzled old coaches in the way that they're formed. But I would love to see him in Las Vegas, like walk out of the stadium, throw his leather jacket on, get on his motorcycle, and ride off after that game down the strip. It would be pretty awesome. But yeah, Kyle Whittingham, somebody who tons of respect for, and he's done a lot of amazing things. So a new era for the Utes now.
Yeah, it won't be totally new. It's going to be Morgan Scalley taking over. So we've known that for quite some time. And Brandon, nice job on the stinger, whoever put that together. I think that's a nice little addition. And boy, we'd have worn that button out if we had this offseason with all the breaking news, because it just seems like it is every day something new. And so today, here we are, and it's Kyle Whittingham, and a story that we've been kind of wondering about for going on 2 or 3 years now, when he was going to finally step down. And it looked like at one point last year that might have been the timing, and he stuck around and came back for one last trip around the sun. And I think it was a good move because it was a much better season, and he leaves them in good hands with not only a pretty prolific quarterback duo that they can lean on heading into the next year, with Bird Ficklin appearing to be coming back and Devin Dampier coming back and all of that. So you've got a nice base to work off with. And you're just sliding the keys. Just you're walking down the hall and handing them to Morgan Scalley, who's been preparing to get into that seat for several years now. So this ought to be a pretty seamless transition. Doesn't mean it'll transition right into the wins and losses at the rate that Kyle Whittingham was able to stack them up, or the wins in particular. But no surprise here. No surprise that he's calling it a career. The signs have been there for a while now, and it does just sort of seem like if this was an offseason to do it, it would be this offseason, right? Because of just all of the examples of guys moving on along, like a Chris Kleiman, who I do count Whittingham into kind of that category of older coaches who have seen their best days behind them and maybe aren't as fond of these newer days that we're living in right now. And then just times the call to go stay at home with the grandkids or go travel with the wife or do whatever. So I'm sure he'll still be around the program and still have some input and all that. And what a career for Kyle Whittingham. Salute to him. And I know he rubbed a lot of Big 12 fans the wrong way in a very short amount of time, but he's a hell of a football coach, and I know he means a great deal to Utah. But I think there's also a segment of them that are also ready to see what this new era looks like as well and have something kind of fresh and new. So next year in the Big 12, we'll have the changeover there in Manhattan with Kleiman moving on. We'll have the changeover in Stillwater with Eric Morris getting underway there. And now we'll have it in Salt Lake City. And am I missing anywhere else? Is it just those three? Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Utah. And is there any other one off the top of my head? I don't remember. No. Iowa State, obviously. Yeah, so I'll just talk to myself.
Four
of the 16.
Yeah, four of the 16. And that's 21 seasons. And after last season, or the last couple of years where they were kind of held hostage by Cam Rising's health for worse, not for better, for worse. And Ellie, I really wanted that story for Cam Rising to work out and kind of end on a high note. It did not. But for Kyle Whittingham, really happy that they go out on a 10-2. And
I have
more breaking news.
And it's not breaking news. It's a little bit of an addendum on this, though, as I just looked down as we're sitting there talking about this, and I'm there. You go, sending him off on this trip into retirement. Stuart Mandel says, as of 7 minutes ago, Whittingham is not retiring and could seek other coaching opportunities. He went 177-88 with 3 conference titles, 2 Rose Bowls, and an undefeated season in 2008. Is he going to go be the Michigan head coach? Is that what he's going to go do now? I don't think that's probably in the cards for him.
They could do a lot worse.
They could do a lot. I mean, certainly though, he's got that sweet analyst gig that he can have. That's been created in coaching here in the last few years, like it's in the business world, right? The consultant job. You can get that sweet consultant job. But yeah, that's a bizarre kind of addition onto this story. So I guess technically he's not retiring, but he is stepping down from Utah. So the part about changing over from Whittingham, all that remains true. But the part about him going and taking a vacation with the wife or spending time with the grandkids, I guess he feasibly has more time to do that right now, but maybe he'll have less time than we imagine because maybe he goes and takes another job. I don't know who would be signing him up right now. At his age and all that, but with his expertise, I'm sure he'll find something. But yeah, that's a little addition I had to mention here because he's not retiring apparently, but he is no longer the head coach at Utah. So Morgan Scalley is the man now in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll just tell you that if Michigan just decided they wanted like stability, and like let's just do this, like. Again, Kyle Whittingham would be that guy, but it'd be a very short gig.
Yeah, I just don't think that would be the move you'd make at this point in time. Would be go get a guy that's even older than anybody you've had. So,
and look, he may say, "Look, I'm not retiring," but he may not coach this next year,
right?
Or whatever. He's just kind of seeing what's going to be out
there, out there in the void, like a Gundy or a Patterson or some of those guys who have left jobs or been fired in recent times and haven't been scooped up elsewhere. Like Patterson obviously did the consulting thing with Baylor there for a bit, with Texas as well. So yeah, he could always go do the Neil Brown or the Saban coaching tree thing where you go and you advise or you kind of have a more less main staff role, and then that eventually leads you to another gig after that. But yeah, at his age, I don't know what kind of opportunities will be out there, but it is still the significant piece of news that it is for Utah specifically. It's just not the end of Kyle Whittingham's career necessarily. But I've been wondering about this as we got into bowl season because there was like really the one unanswered question. I was very, as you know, suspicious of Kleiman and the time and just the ability for him to continue doing this. And so then once he made his move, it was like, okay, that answers a big question about him at least. And then I think a lot of the other jobs that have been rumored about have already been filled. So this was the one job that was still sort of out there that I'm like, would they possibly still, like, is he still possibly going to make a move and retire? And now we have our answers. So Morgan Scalley time in Utah. And yeah, that gives Scalley at Utah, Morris at Oklahoma State, Jimmy Rogers at Iowa State, and now
Colin Klein.
And Colin Klein at K-State. So we'll be meeting some new coaches at media days this year. That's for sure.
Yeah, and looking forward to it. A non, and this one just saw a minute ago, so didn't send on the graphic, but Kirby Moore, Mizzou offensive coordinator, on his way back to Pacific Northwest. He's a former Boise State wide receiver and a younger brother of Kellen Moore. He's the new Wazoo coach, taking Jimmy Rogers' place, who you just mentioned is the new head coach at Iowa State. So, yeah.
Good for Washington State, man. It's been a couple years, hasn't it, for them?
Yeah.
It's been a really rough time. I've hated to see them kind of get played with, of like carrots, like these fictitious carrots get dangled in front of them and give them some hope, and they get swiped away for somebody's just hits on their stuff, or just because people want to troll them because they're Washington fans in sheep's clothing or whatever. Like, they've just been toyed with, basically, and they've seen their just college football fandom and being a part of this club just crumble underneath their feet with no doing of their own, so to speak. And then these hopes that, like, maybe the Big 12 will add them. Nope. Maybe the ACC will add them. Nope. Maybe the Big 12 will add them again. Nope. Maybe this will have, like, nope. And then they got the Pac situation squared away, but they're still in the midst of that lawsuit, Paul, that's like never ending. And then you finally kind of get to football season and you have your new coach in Jimmy Rogers, and you're excited about what he's been able to do, and then he leaves you, and you're just back to square one. So I hope that for their sake that they can have somebody that is really in it for them and can be around for a while to build this thing up, because, man, they deserve it after all the S that they've been through the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I just texted a friend of mine who lives up there. His wife is an alum. He said, Wazoo needs something right with football. It's been a rough span of years. Rolovich fired for his lack of COVID shot.
Yep.
He's, by the way, staying at Cal.
Which is a great move for them and him, I feel like.
Yeah. Cam Ward leaves for Miami.
Yep.
Mateer leaves the next year for OU.
Yep.
Jake Dickert leaves for Wake last year.
Yep.
Jimmy Rogers after a year. And that's even,
that's
like
you said,
realignment. And that's not even including the fact that you mentioned about realignment. So they've gotten bent over at every turn, he said, which is totally true. Like, Wazoo, nobody has been punished more than Wazoo. And of course, Oregon State, to some regard, they've got a new coach as well this year. So it's been very rough. So I hope that the Kirby Moore hiring will stabilize things for a couple years. Now, he is an up and comer. I just hope that he doesn't. I don't think he's going to be there forever, but can we get him there 4 years or so before they have to change again?
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe they're going to be like a lot of these American jobs where you'll be lucky to get 4 or so years, but mostly you're probably going to get 2, maybe 3, and those guys are going to move on. Like we saw the wave of American coaches this offseason, and we've seen that with the Sun Belt as well now, right? I mean, that they were also affected by the carousel. And I think that's just the life you're living now if you're Washington State and Oregon State. And I think Oregon State made a really interesting hire there with Corey Shepard. I know there's some questions about how that'll work out or if it'll work out, but that's the case with every coaching job. Like, none of these are absolute slam dunks. I mean, sure, you feel like Kiffin's going to be fine at LSU, but he's still got a much higher bar to clear to be that level of success compared to if he were in another spot. So, I hope that Kirby Moore, who does appear to be, a name that could be moving up over the years, is there to at least build something and give them something to enjoy for a little while, because I think if any fan base deserves it, it is them. And they've been through a lot. Yeah, I mean, they've kind of been on a stormy ship at sea, just kind of getting thrown from side to side and just trying to hang on and not get overtaken by the waves. And they've managed to keep their head above water this entire time, just barely at some points. But, man, it has been rough. And, yeah, they deserve it more than anybody at this point. So that, I believe, does that fill all the jobs? Are we close now, or except for Michigan now, right?
Michigan's open. And then, of course, we have one, and we can skip
Coastal,
this.
Carolina.
Coastal is closed now. Ryan Beard. Missouri State is open because Ryan Beard is going to Coastal Carolina. So they're, for the most part, I think they're all closed. Blake Anderson to Southern Miss.
Coastal was yesterday, right? With Ryan Beard.
Right at the end of the day. Right. So, we didn't get to talk about it. But congratulations to him. I think that's a great hire for Coastal. I think that could have Jamie Chadwell-like vibes to it. So, yeah. All right. When we come back, Zach Barnett, Football Scoop. He's one of the people I reached out to on Sherrone Moore the other day because they're plugged in. I said, isn't this been, like what's going on here? And he kind of shed some light on it because they were one of the groups that kind of knew about the rumors about him for several months. That's coming up next. This is 365 Sports.
PettyClinicLowT.com can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be. 1 out of every 3 or 4 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone, and Dr. Kent Petty and his staff want to help you out. Is your energy lower than normal? Are you just not feeling the same? Are you lethargic? Something's wrong. And you're in pretty good shape, you have a decent exercise, and you sleep okay. So that could be your testosterone level inside of your body, and 1 out of every 3 or 4 men that deal with this. So contact Dr. Petty at PettyClinicLowT.com. Tell them I sent you, and they will set you up to get your blood work, take care of that appointment, and then get the results and get back in touch with you. And if your testosterone level is too low, Dr. Kent Petty and his staff can help you become the high-performance man you want to be, need to be, and used to be by putting you in a program. Make you feel better. You will feel better at PettyClinicLowT.com.
My go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf car batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com.
Golfballs.com carries the latest selection of golf balls, clubs, and gear from brands such as Titleist, TaylorMade, and Callaway. Golfballs.com remains the world leader in golf customization. And of course, online at golfballs.com.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at PettyClinicLowT.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin. And you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, PettyClinicLowT.com.
It's football season, and we can create your outdoor tailgating spaces that is actually a part of your home. Bifold doors that tie in the inside and the outside, and you can gain anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 square feet living space, all while taking in the big game, poolside. Call us at Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath, where we can create your unique tailgating space.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Ooh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Got floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Batteries Plus has teamed up with the Dallas Cowboys as the team's official battery recycling partner. Batteries Plus doesn't just sell batteries, they recycle them too. Customers can bring in old lithium batteries from power tools, power banks, and small electronics for a chance to win Cowboys tickets, a VIP experience, and more at qualifying locations. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge. This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul and Craig with you here on a Friday. And Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com, who is itinerant today. He's on the move, so we don't get to see if he's decided to don an Alito cap or not today. But Zach, obviously, was that me?
No, it's Twitter popped up.
Oh, sorry. So anyway, Zach, the Sherrone Moore thing, I texted you the other day when this went down because I had kind of heard, that people were souring on him halfway through the season anyway. And I'm like, well, I mean, you kind of had to look at this and say with a true freshman quarterback, 9-3 was a pretty good year, but there was so much more to this. How much clarity did this kind of give you when this all went down? Because you told me that you guys have been kind of waiting to hear, some finality on this for several weeks.
First of all, for the record, I'm in an Alito sweatshirt today. Okay. Big state semifinal showdown with Lone Star later on today. I mean, my thought all along was kind of that if he'd gone 11-1, they'd be helping him cover this up instead of trying to lawyer his way out. Obviously, the details are ugly and heartbreaking, and you don't want to make light of the situation, which is just catastrophic for his family. But yeah, I think there's talk. I saw someone out there say that if he'd gone 8-4 instead of 9-3, they might have just fired him for cause, and we don't ever hear about this in the first place. But I mean, they basically caught him red-handed once the administrative assistant or whatever we want to call it turned him in and brought the proof. But I do think if he's 12-0, I still kind of stand by that. I don't know that we're having this conversation.
No, I agree with that, man. It's the way college football goes these days, or has always been. You win and you can kind of overcome certain things that you can't otherwise. But when it did start to drop and sort of unfold, and then next thing you know, he's been fired, and now he's at a house, and now they're police. I mean, just kind of how have you sorted through just this sordid mess? It's messy, like you said, but just an awful turn. And I guess kind of how does everybody go about picking up the pieces now, you think?
Yeah, I think I've kind of followed this with looking through my hands, through my fingers, because it's just been so ugly. Certainly, we have not tried to lead on reporting this. That's in the hands of authorities far greater than any of us. But obviously now the question turns to what are they going to do? Matt Campbell would have been an obvious candidate 2 weeks ago. I know Brian Kelly's trying to get in on it. The first question to answer is who's even making this hire. I know that they've hired I believe, turnkey to run this search. But I think, first of all, the leaders there have to have some pretty pointed questions for Ward Manuel, because, I mean, we were trying to list off the scandals that had happened, and readers are kind of like, oh, you forgot this one, you forgot that one. Like, it's been a scandal-ridden, not only football program, but athletic department as a whole, and all of that has occurred under Ward Manuel's watch.
Yeah, that's and they're keeping him here because maybe, I guess, doing this right now is a bit too much all at once with how out of control this got in a very, very short amount of time. But they can pretty much have their pick of the litter of coaches in a normal time frame. How much does the time frame hurt them here? And Do you think they give turnkey kind of pretty specific instructions of they kind of have to be in the Michigan tree, because there's not a college program in the country that adheres to you have had to spend at least this much time in Ann Arbor, Michigan before getting this job?
I don't think that is a requirement this time around. And if anything, freshness and being an outsider might play in your favor at this point, because there are a lot of guys that coach there that have gone on to be successful other places, but all of them have ties to Jim Harbaugh, and I don't know that that's a road you want to walk down for a third time. Obviously, let's just be honest, they were lucky to get away with that 2023 national championship as much as they wanted to fight it. So I think if there's ever a time for a clean break, and we'll bring in someone else and with new opportunities, and most importantly, zero baggage, then that's that's something I think that would be pretty appealing. I know people throwing out David Shaw, and I can't sit here and rule that out. Obviously, David Shaw it was ties to Harbaugh at Stanford, but David Shaw is his own man at this point. If I'm Michigan, I'm not sold on that, simply because Stanford atrophied under David Shaw, similar to the same way that Northwestern did under Pat Fitzgerald, and now he's the head coach at Michigan State, so who knows?
So we had some other breaking news come down as we were talking here over the last 30 minutes or so. Kyle Whittingham officially stepping down as head football coach at Utah. Said it's been an honor and privilege to lead the program for the past 21 years, and said his goodbye to Utah. And then Stuart Mandel chimed in very quickly afterwards and said this isn't necessarily an official retirement, and he could seek other coaching opportunities. What say you to that part? And just what say you to something that we've been wondering about for a while, at least the last couple of years, on when this day might come? So I don't think it's much of a shock, but your thoughts on the Whittingham era ending at Utah, and I guess it's Scally time for them moving forward now.
Yeah, this is something that everyone in the industry has been watching for a while, and it's no surprise to think someone in his 60s that's fabulously rich might not want to do it anymore. But obviously, you have Morgan Scally, who's turned down opportunities to continue at Utah, but he can't do that forever. And sometimes it's no different than choosing a player. You're going to choose the 40-something over the 60-something nearly every time. But I do think it's worth paying attention to that he's stepping down and not retiring. So there'd be a line out the door for Kyle Whittingham to go get a job. It just depends on what level and what type of job. Like, if he's willing to take a step back ego-wise and coach a G5 or an FCS, he could absolutely kill it there. But I don't see him hopping right into a Power 4 job.
Zach, when you hear Kyle Whittingham doing it, do you think he maybe like be an assistant in the NFL? Maybe just kick that around the last couple years of his career?
I don't know. I don't know him well enough to know whether that'd be appealing for him or not. Some guys might relish in the relative lack of responsibility, but at the same time, if you've been running your own business for so long, it might be hard to go work for someone else too.
Zach, what did you think of the hiring of Jimmy Rogers at Iowa State?
I'm going to be honest, it surprised me, because I was trading text with someone, incidentally at the Alito game last Friday night, with someone who was very much preparing to go pitch himself for the job, and was rattling off some other names that were going to be involved. And it would have been a very competitive search, and they could have kind of had their pick of accomplished guys that have done well in FBS. And Jamie Pollard said thanks, but no thanks to having the search. So, he did it very, very well at South Dakota State, obviously, and I could see why he'd be looking to get out of Washington State. But to not even really open the job up, from my perspective, it's like, all right, well, this guy better win because you kind of called your shot here.
Yeah. What did you think of Jamie Pollard's comments, kind of like lamenting the whole, he's playing the game, but he hates it, that, the contracts don't mean anything, and then he had to go steal Wazoo's coach and all that.
Yeah. I didn't hear those comments specifically, but I will praise Jamie Pollard for specifically what we've all been through with Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. And obviously this situation wasn't near as acrimonious as that one, but he kind of treated Matt Campbell like a graduating senior. Like, yeah, he did his time here. He made this place a better place. Life goes on. We wish him nothing but the best. So Jamie Pollard's and AD's AD. So I think he handled that really, really well.
Any thoughts? I mean, without the Michigan job, I think everything pretty much closed up, right? Like every job was pretty much filled. You just had Coastal with Ryan Beard here and Washington State with Kirby Moore. I guess all these kind of fitting into place. Any thoughts on the carousel and these last sort of remnants before this Michigan thing kind of blew it up all over again, or anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, I can't think of a crazier carousel. Just certainly. I hope we never live through another one like this. I mean, for everyone's sake, I hope there's not another head coach that leaves for a conference rival before a playoff run. And then I certainly hope for all of our sake, I mean, that never gets any crazier than Sherrone Moore. Like, I woke up this morning thinking, at this time yesterday, Sherrone Moore was gainfully employed as a head coach at the University of Michigan, and now he's in a jail cell. So for all of our sake, let's hope that this is an all-timer.
Yeah,
you put it that way, and it really hammers it home. Like 1 minute you're the head coach at Michigan with your wife and kids, and everything seemingly going as well as you could ever have dreamed, and the next minute you're in a jail cell. Yeah, man, crazy.
I now long for the days of Brian Kelly to LSU. Wow,
yeah,
weird. Okay, who saw that coming?
Well, maybe Michigan's got a weird one for us. Who knows?
Yeah,
we'll see.
And they might. You know, that like young guy, like you hear names like Tommy Reese thrown around and all that. So maybe we will see that. Zach, I'm curious on this about how you feel about the playoff. Has the last week changed your view on anything about the playoff than anything that happened before Notre Dame got snubbed and Alabama got in, and what the future of it will be? Because I'm concerned it might have changed some people in some conferences' view of it, and that we might wind up with this 24 to 28 team playoff before we know it.
Yeah, I think 12 is proved to be the right number. Notre Dame has an argument. Obviously, if Texas had made it in, then they could have argued that, well, we actually have the chance to win the whole thing. BYU, Vanderbilt, but none of those teams. It's not a crying shame that any of those teams are not in this field. So I think we have the right number, and some of these issues that the committee had to deal with were not their choosing. Like, it's not the committee's fault that the ACC had a dumb tiebreaker that didn't put Miami into the championship game. I do worry that the talk of, well, why do we have two group of 5 teams? We shouldn't have any, or you should have to have a minimum rank. Like, if Tulane's in as the lowest seeded team, then and Miami's the ACC auto bid, Notre Dame's the last at large, everyone's kind of like, yeah, this made sense. I think Alabama not dropping was ridiculous. But again, I think if the ACC has a good tiebreaker, then none of this happens. I think the Tuesday night ranking shows continue to be a huge problem. There seems to be at least a little bit of momentum to curtail those. But that's also been a problem since day one, as well as we saw with TCU.
Do you think this is a move towards people finally going, enough, Notre Dame? You've had your cake and you've eaten it too, and we understand why you're upset, but now we're not going to put up with you anymore? Or do you think Notre Dame is as staunchly independent and refusing to ever join a conference as ever before?
Well, I think Notre Dame has been – their independence is entirely dependent upon everyone else. Like, they're the cost of their business is going up because the ACC is going to 9 non-conference games.
Right.
The SEC, so that's fewer games for everyone else to go around. But getting Notre Dame on your campus is still a valuable thing. So the thought that the rest of the sport might leave them behind, I don't know, and I don't blame Notre Dame for being upset because they were in this thing until they weren't. So their issue, if I'm Pete Bavacqua, I would turn my guns more at the CFP than I would at the ACC. But at the same time, the CFP just gave you a sweetheart deal that it didn't give anyone else that's going to put them in the field almost every single year moving forward.
And once we learned that, it was like, wait a second. Why are we upset for you? Like you guys got this ironclad deal for every year moving forward where you're basically automatically going to be in. So that piece of information coming out really flipped that story on its head a little bit, didn't it? Because it was 1 minute we're all like, damn, Notre Dame got screwed. And now it's like, damn, Notre Dame's got this set up for the rest of time. That's as sweet as anybody's deal is.
Yeah, and the recent change to just go to a straight seeding format benefits them because in the past, the 1 year we had last year's bracket, you had to be a conference champion to get a bye. Now that's out the window, so they could, if they go 12-0, they're going to be they'll get a bye and go into the quarterfinal round, only having played 12 games, whereas most everyone else has to play 14 to get there. So they are advantaged quite a bit. So this is kind of the flip side of their perch within college football, and so they just kind of live with it. That they didn't get the breaks they needed, but most years they will.
Yeah, I kind of felt like you guys got bumped to coach one time, and you're trying to yell at the CEO of American Airlines, like, sometimes that happens. Like, okay, it's already fixed. You won't be bumped to coach again. It's so weird, and I think they've done a disservice to themselves, at least in the short term. But I told Craig this yesterday, Zach, what teams that get snubbed should do if it's if their cause is just, is say, look, we got screwed here, and we don't want anybody else to get screwed. But the two that we can think of that have been the loudest about it didn't give a damn about anybody else, and that's FSU and Notre Dame. It's just like, we got screwed, so you're all wrong. But instead of taking the global view of it, they're just like, no, we're the only people who've been singled out.
Yeah, and you have to respect what Clark Lee said. He came out and said, we had our opportunities, and we didn't get it done, so we're going to take ownership of this and then try and be better next time.
Yep, that's all you can say. I thought he handled it very, very well. All right, before we let you go, so you're heading to a high school game, is that right? I saw an article you put up, or a tweet maybe it was, that was talking about your love for high school football, and I've certainly done my time in the game, spent like 20 years doing broadcasts and all that, and this is a very special time of year. But how special is it for you, and how much are you can kind of consuming some Texas high school football as we get into these last few days here?
Oh, I absolutely love it. And the state championships, I love to just post up on the couch and watch as much of all those games as I possibly can. I love this week. The Salina-Stephenville game, which is going to go down in Fort Worth, I think is about as good as it gets in Texas high school football. And one of my dream side gig is to be able to do play-by-play for high school football. So maybe you can hook me up.
Now that we know that you'd love to, I'll make some calls for you, Zach. I'm not
even joking. That would be incredible.
Okay. Yeah. Look, hey, Craig and I are both retired from it, but, I know a guy who's usually here who would love to talk to you about it. So, yeah. So anyway, Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. Enjoy. Good luck to Alito tonight. Now, most of the time they don't need it, but good luck to Alito tonight.
Yeah, well, they're moving up to 6A next year, so this might be our last shot at a state title for a while. So we'll see.
There we go. All right, Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. Zach, we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so there we go. Yeah, you and I did that for a long time, Craig. And
yeah, I did it from basically I was like 17 years old to for years and years and years and years up until last year, and really enjoyed it. It became like a time thing with us also doing stuff on Saturdays, to where I found myself like, I know there's the grind and I took part in the grind, but it's like after a while the grind never changes, and I needed it to.
Yeah.
And I needed to just shake something up, and I realized over half my life, every half of a year is consumed by all weekend football. And like, I didn't know what a Friday night in the fall was like. I really truly did not know what it was like, because I hadn't done it in over 20 years. And so this year's the first time, and I definitely made the right choice. I was going to do it last year and hung on for a few reasons. And then this year I was like, nope, I'm going to do it. And I don't regret it, but I do. It does make me get more excited, rather than like, oh God, where am I going this weekend? It does make me more excited about just being able to kind of kick back and see the scoreboard shows and the results. And I have tons of fond memories, and I look forward to, probably not this year, but in years to come, going to like that final state championship weekend, because if you just love football and you love high-level high school football, I mean, it doesn't get any better than here. And it's like a whole festival basically for 4 days at Jerry's World, where you can watch from the bottom level of schools as far as like just size goes to the biggest schools in the entire state of Texas, like your Allens and your South Lake Carrolls and all them. You go 1A to 6A, 3-4 games a day for like 4 days. It's all the football you could ever want, and it's a very cool deal. And I look forward to being able to sit and watch those nowadays, because I've roamed the sidelines and the press box long enough at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know when I'll go back to the high school game.
Yeah, you never liked it to begin with. So
and look, I liked was before. Like, I liked talking to coaches and like that part of it. I really love that. I always love talking to coaches. I love coaches. But my job on Friday nights was so labor intensive with producing and doing color simultaneously that it just eventually, like, it was just sort of like a function of my day. Like, it wasn't like, oh man, like somebody like, hey, Midway's got a big one this week. And I'd be like, I'd have to like force myself to be like, yeah. And all I could think of was like, oh God, here we go. And then when Amanda moved here, it kind of opened my eyes to, there's other things I got to do, especially when she's just here sitting on Friday night waiting for me to come home, and she's, you can't tell her like, when's the game going to end? I don't know. High school football takes a long time.
Well, you can, because a lot of people do that. But if you're not interested in hearing that, then that's another story. But I mean, there's a lot of radio and TV broadcasts where the wives are at home on Friday nights. It's kind of how it goes. But I mean, you did your time. I did mine. Zach's looking to do more, and good for him. And, good luck to everybody out there in the playoffs that's still hanging around. And for Aledo, that move to 6A, it's a pretty big jump, as successful as they've been. So this might be your last crack at a state title for at least a little while. So they've had their fair share of successes, those Bearcats, and this might be the last big one for a while, but we'll see. They're one of those schools that they'll find a way to be successful at 6A as well. But it is a little bit of a jump when you're suddenly taking on Allen, Austin Westlake, South Lake Carroll, Lake Travis, like all of these schools, and Duncanville and DeSoto, and the list goes on and on and on. But the high school football here is great, and I look forward to watching some of the state title games here in the next week.
Absolutely. When we come back, we'll dive into the rest of our headlines, plus the SEC schedule release. We'll talk about that. That's all coming up right after this on 365 Sports.
The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco. General Manager Nick Colwell, and so many things going on right now. Great news, extending your special promotion. You can take advantage all throughout the month of December. When you book an event for the month of January or February for next year during the month of December, you could also receive your choice of free decor or free audio-visual setup for your event. Whether it's a corporate gathering, celebration, kickoff event, private events, the team will handle every detail for you at the Baylor Club. Layouts and timelines and seamless coordination. Start the year stress-free and fully supported. Your Baylor Club private events number is 254-710-8080, or go to BaylorClub.com. Excited to share new food items, specialty cocktails in the restaurant. Become a member today. Enjoy a full lineup, upcoming holiday events. Plan an exciting calendar of activities in the new year, from pregame basketball dinners to family movie nights to cocktail making classes and additional holiday celebration. And there's something for everyone. For more information, tell them 365 Sports sent you. Membership sales at 254-655-7928, or go to BaylorClub.com.
I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
No car payments for 90 days when you bring your auto loan home to Genco. Get 4.79% for 48 months and make no payments until 2026. Plus, get entered to win 3 months of no car payments. Bring your auto loan home to Genco. Lower your interest rate, save money, and no payments until 2026. For details, go to GencoFCU.org.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul, Catalina, and Craig Smoak. And we continue on with the headlines from earlier today. The Heisman finalists all the way down, and they invited 4 people to the event. And one of them was not Jacob Rodriguez, but Craig, he did get a heck of a lot of votes here.
Yeah, Jacob Rodriguez got quite a few votes. He was the first man out as far as the invites to New York go. So I don't know how you take that if you're him. It's kind of cool to say that you're the first one out, but it also sucks because you're the first one out. So you wish you were going to New York City and you're not. Instead, it's the 4 listed there, and Love, Mendoza, Pavia, and Sayin. But yeah, Jacob Rodriguez did get some love, and they were certainly trying to push that Heisman campaign those last few weeks and seemed to get a little bit of traction, but it never felt like he was being widely considered. They couldn't quite push him all the way into that 5th chair there. Back on that. There you go. Could not get him into that 5th chair there, but I think that he had an incredible year, and I wouldn't have had any problem whatsoever if he had been invited to New York. But yeah, it's a good group. I think Mendoza's obviously the favorite right now. If I had a vote, which I don't, then and if I had one, I wouldn't be talking about it if I had one. Yeah. But I've said for a while now I would have gone with Diego Pavia, but I totally understand Mendoza. And the other 2 had great years as well. But, yeah, I think Jacob Rodriguez was very, very close, but just not close enough. So it's kind of, like I said at the start, it's cool, but it's also like pisses you off how close you were that you didn't quite get all the way to New York. You know, it's like, cool, I was the last guy not invited kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah. No, it's the – Yeah, it's that like when you hear the first 4 out of the turn. Like,
yeah, you're number 5.
You're number 5. You're like, oh,
cool. We were almost in, but instead we get like the most heartbreaking news because we're the first one out.
Yeah, and I wonder. I mean, like my ballot would not have included Julian Sand this high personally. Pavia, Mendoza, and Love would have been in my top 4, and Rodriguez would probably have been 4th. I do respect Caleb Downs getting 9th. I actually like of all the there are 2 football players on this list that I think are the best football players on the list, the best, most talented, and those are Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs is the best football player in the entire country at any position. I really do. I think that he could justify anything, when it comes to awards, but he's also at a position where you got to have interceptions or nobody's going to notice. And part of that is not really fair because are you going to throw anywhere near Caleb Downs? No. So it makes it a little harder for him to get the recognition he needs. But I'm totally fine with the top 10. There's not anybody in the top 10 of vote getters that I don't think deserves to get votes.
No, I think it's all the main guys that you would have expected. I'm trying to think of if there's just any. I mean, I know we'll talk about a couple guys on the Earl Campbell Award in a second, not just yet, that probably were 11, 12 on here. But good to see Haynes King get a little bit of love. There was a time earlier in the year where I think he's bound for New York, and that just sort of faded away as the season went on and other guys emerged, and Georgia Tech didn't just quite have the year that they needed to make that happen. But Trinidad Chambliss, I mean, who could have imagined him being top 8 in Heisman voting when the season started, because he was not supposed to be the starting quarterback by a lot of estimations, and yet there he was. So he was a great story. And I mean, kind of shocking Jeremiah Smith, just because if you were to bank, put all your money, all your chips on a guy, who do you think has a strong case to be there? Then I think Jeremiah Smith would have been one of those preseason guys, along with probably Sayin and maybe a couple of the other guys on here that you would have been like, oh yeah, they're for sure going to be there. But not close enough. And no way you could have thought Rodriguez would even get to 5th, much less been on the top 10 list here. But that's just the great year that he had. And it's unfortunate that he fell just short of getting an invite. And I don't know why. I know that they've kind of explained it, why is some years there's 5 and some years there's 4. And it doesn't seem like there's a hard number. And I think it's just how close the votes are. So there was clearly some kind of a cliff, I guess, that came after number 4, where you couldn't justify Rodriguez being close enough to include him. But still, he got a lot of attention and a lot of love, and they did all they could on their end to try to promote him to get him there. So fell just short, but a hell of a year nonetheless.
Yeah, I would love to I would love to see a defensive player win it. Once we get that, once a decade, if we can get a defensive player to win it, then I will start my new crusade that if you're the best offensive lineman in the country, you should also be included in this. But that's a lot harder.
The thing with the offensive lineman is it's hard to measure. I mean, it's so as somebody who does stuff for an award, and an offensive award at that, I mean, how do you measure an offensive lineman? You can go to PFF, but that's just not readily available for everybody. And then you get into, now you're comparing PFF grades, and it's just not the same as seeing yards, completion percentage, touchdowns, interceptions, those types of things. And those don't always tell the whole tale, but they do tell a lot more of the picture than whatever arbitrary measures we have. That's the thing. All these stat gurus, we've got enough of kind of the good stuff. We need, how do you grade offensive linemen regularly the way that you can,
so you can compare, if the award is for the best football player,
right,
and not the best person who touches the ball, kind of a thing, then that's where I think it, just in Dominican Sue was a defensive lineman. He had sacks and tackles and all those things that you can measure, right? Where it's holy cow, this guy at defensive
big
tackle,
highlights and stuff,
But offensive linemen, if you tell me, I remember Bryant McKinney didn't allow a sack for 3 straight years, that to me. But how is that? You can't quantify that in the same way, so it's hard.
Doing the Earl Award, and we'll get to that in a second, but when was doing that and get down to trying to whittle it down to the voting block, and all of a sudden somebody's like, well, how about Trey Zune from A&M? And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I guess he's going to be all SEC, but like he's not been on a list this entire year because there's no way to sit there and say like he had a great game against Georgia or something and go like he's deserving of player of the week. Like you can't measure it. So
he should win the Lombardi Award because he's played all 5 offensive positions, on the line.
I mean, like there's things
cool
like
stuff,
that you can use to promote it, but it's not the same as being able to look up and like this dude had 3 touchdowns and 425 yards and no picks. And so it's just a harder thing to measure. But that's an area where I do feel like there's a bit of a blind spot that there's PFF grades and all of that. But I do feel like if you want to get to work on something, like find a more expedient way to kind of measure O-linemen the way we measure other people and like be able to kind of compare them a bit better. But
give them an official stat.
Yeah, something like even pancakes is an official stat for some people. But again, how do you measure? Like, is that put in the box score at the end of the game? Never that I see. It's always like 2 days later after some guys graded it out. But you need something that's a bit more like right there for you to gobble up. So, this will be tomorrow night. I've already seen the finalists out there doing the Heisman tour and taking pictures around New York City. So good luck to those guys. What an opportunity. And I think we're probably seeing Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, tomorrow night. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, I would personally put Diego Pavia as number 1, and it's no knock. Like the love Mendoza, Pavia, I think, or those guys for sure. Sayan deserves to be there. I'm not saying he doesn't. It's just I wouldn't be quite there on him just yet. And, I hope he does get another opportunity because he's a damn good player for sure. You mentioned the Earl Campbell Award, the finalists for that. You guys, I know, worked very, very hard on this. And this is going to be a tough one. Like if you told me, Paul, right now, who should give this award to, I'd be like, I resign.
Yeah, there's not a clear cut. I think Marcel Reed might have been clear cut a few weeks ago, but he didn't close very strong, and I don't think he's a sure thing by any stretch. But this goes to best player from or in the state of Texas, and the good old Tyler Rose is involved, and as are his sons, Tyler and Christian, and I've been involved with it since its inception over 10 years ago, and crowned some pretty good players over that time. And this year it'll be one of these 5. Cam Cook, nation's leading rusher there at Jacksonville State, former TCU running back, but has had a hell of a year. And so we do give love to the smaller schools if you've carved out the season to do so. Haynes King clearly was, as a guy early on in the season, looked like he could be bound for New York, but still had a really good year. Kawan Lacey, I think, is one of the most slept on guys in college football. Like he gets some love, but I don't feel like it's nearly enough because his former head coach took like 90% of the Ole Miss love.
He takes all the oxygen out of the
room. He does. And then the quarterback story with Chambliss took like the other 10% basically, and deserved. But I feel like Kawan Lacey just kind of like, oh yeah, and he's awesome too. And never really gets drilled down on how good he is, but he's great. Drew Messemaker was clearly one of the big stories of this year at North Texas and had an incredible season. And now we wait with bated breath on what his future looks like. Will he follow Eric Morris to Oklahoma State, or will he jump in the portal at all, or what will his future look like? And then Marcel Reed, who, I mean, looked like he was bound for New York at one point, and then that all kind of went to the wayside. I think that Texas game was just a bad look, bad taste in people's mouths, but we'll see what he's got cooked up for the playoffs. And he's the lone non-Texas native. That's something we've dabbled with. It's like we've thought about just going from Texas, but then there's like, well, is it you were born in Texas or you went to high? Like there's no perfect way to do it, really.
I used to have this discussion with Butch Henry when we were on the air. He thought that the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, you should have had to be born in Texas.
Right.
I said, so what if you moved here when you were a week old?
Exactly.
So like you don't get to, I said, well, Butch, you don't get to pick that. And in fact, you don't really get to pick where you're going to be until you're an adult.
Right.
At all. So,
and there's a lot of people that they move around. They're Army brats, like Shaquille O'Neal. He was born in New Jersey. He was he went to high school in Texas, but I think was overseas at one point, and then he did college in Louisiana. And it's like, where is he from, really? Like he's from a billion places, and there's a lot of guys like that.
And they put them, and all of them,
Yeah.
Texas included, Louisiana, New Jersey. They've all put him in the
he's in the
their
Texas
Hall of Fame. Yeah, he's in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Didn't show up that night, but sent a video.
Yeah.
Let us know right at the end. I was going to be sitting at his table. It was a super bummer.
Yeah, I bet.
Anyway, but yeah. So I like that's where and look, there's a good point to be made on that, just on the surface of it, like best player born, but then you wind up you were going to find yourself in a year where you say, okay, we've got 5 great guys that are all up for this award. And then you look at it and they're like, oh, this guy wasn't actually born here. He just moved here when he was 2. You get into sticky territory.
Well, then there's guys that are born here and then they left when they were 5 and they never went to school here after that, but they're eligible. But a guy who wasn't and moved here when he was 5 and did go to high school here, like he's not eligible. It's messy,
no
and
way
then
to
it's
do
only made it messier with the fact that you look at a roster like Texas or a roster like A&M, and at least half of like their biggest playmakers aren't from here, but they're playing and they're very prominent in the state of Texas. So like Max Duggan's from Iowa, but he won the award a few years ago because he was the big star in the state of Texas that year, and TC went on that playoff run. So we've gone back and forth, but because of the way the rules are, Marcel Reed, I mean, being the big name at A&M, he's eligible playing in the state, whereas the rest of these guys are all played high school football and are from here. So it's a mix, but I think they represent kind of the whole swath of sort of the year. And it's a really good group, and I have no idea who's going to win it because I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite at the moment, and I'm curious to see how the voting goes. But I like the group.
Absolutely. So, Craig, we got some sad news if you're a fan of the proliferation of bowl games. The LA Bowl is ending. Created in 2020, Mountain West champ versus a Pac-12 team. The LA Bowl joins the Bahamas Bowls, the latest bowls to be canceled. So it was posted by Gronk a year ago, but now this one's ending as well, and I expect to see several more get clipped based on the news that we had this week about the way teams are probably going to be opting out of some in the future.
Well, this is one of those examples where I go, you guys are right about bowl games and losing their luster, and we're losing some tradition. This has no tradition whatsoever.
Exactly.
This was a money grab. This is a tourist bureau money grab game that never had solid backing and was constantly moving sponsorships and got off during the COVID period. I think was when it first started.
Jimmy Kimmel sponsored it one time.
Yeah, it was the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl.
Yeah.
And so this vast, illustrious bowl history that started 6 years ago. So it was the Mountain West Pac-12 tie-in in 2019. Now, back then made plenty of sense. Like, hey, that's a hell of a game. And it's a different era of college football back then where we weren't as nasty about bowl games as we kind of are at this point in some ways. So they unveiled it in February 2020. And then 3 weeks before the scheduled debut in December of 2020, obviously we have COVID going on. So COVID cancels that game. So the first one gets wiped out. Then it was renamed the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl. I guess it was the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl there in 2021 when it officially started to get off the ground. It was that for 2 years. Then it was the LA Bowl hosted by Gronk for a year, and Starco Brands was a sponsor. Then it was the LA Bowl hosted by Gronk last year, but Art of Sport was a sponsor. So it's had like 4 different sponsors, 3 different names, and all that in the span of like 5-6 years. So just 4 games, since it started after 2020. So I'm not crying over this one. I'll be honest with you. This is not losing the Cotton Bowl, or this isn't even losing the Pop-Tarts Bowl. This is losing something that was never really off the ground to begin with. And so unfortunate that there won't be another spot for a couple teams, but I am very, very curious about so many things obviously that are going on. But yeah, how do the bowls all work moving forward here is one I'm very, very unsure about.
Yeah, Brandon, let's skip Beard, Rolovich, and Blake Anderson because we mentioned all those earlier, and we'll just hop to this one before we get to the SEC schedule here in a sec. Arizona's general manager is joining Ryan Silverfield at Arkansas, and this is a big get because Gaika Crowley helped build the Wildcats from 4-8 to 9-3. And one of the things about Arizona was they had a ton of experience in starts and games played and stats that they got out of the portal this year, and that's what helped them. So Arkansas has made a nice little hire here, maybe a little under the radar, but he's going to be the GM there, and very interesting. And it sucks for Arizona, but that's the nature of this biz.
Well, I mean, hopefully Arizona was able to learn some things while he was there that they can apply moving forward, and does appear to be a significant loss from those who know personnel departments and all of that. Not something that I love that we're talking about GMs, but like I remember a few years ago, I didn't want to talk about Cody Campbell. Yeah. I didn't want to talk about all these new jobs and these things, but they're there and they're not going away, and it is what it is. And the GM role, I don't have so much of a hard time with compared to like really what I was basing off was we were seeing Life Wallet idiot, left and right. Just like trying to upend NIL before it even started and trying to like weasel everything that he could, like right out in the open blue and like flaunt it. Like you remember all that, right? Like it was just, it was just kind of gross. Like, and then we know what happened there. That story took a turn for Life Wallet, but I didn't want to know John Ruiz.
Yeah.
And those types of guys. And thankfully we've really not learned a lot about him. Really the only guy we've learned about mostly is Cody Campbell. And that's as much because of the fact that they've flaunted it as much as you can possibly flaunt it. They're like, you want to write an article about us and all the money we're spending? Come on down to Lubbock and we'll write about it. Like they're not hiding anything, and they've embraced it and leaned into it. But I also think it's because he's gotten so politically involved now that he's like in a different sort of space. He's not just some booster. He's like a booster that's trying to like have a wide-ranging impact on the entire infrastructure of college football.
He is, and it is the difference between, I think, political stuff in other places. Like politics gets done in Miami. What I think people feel better about it when it's like, hey, over here, here's what we're going to do. Like kind of that way. In Texas, it's all about flash, right? And that's kind of what they've done here. But John Ruiz was out for John Ruiz. Cody Campbell has been very open about everything.
Yeah, John Ruiz was like the sleazy booster that wanted to start getting the attention because now he could, and I didn't like that.
No, it was like, oh, I've been doing this anyway. Might as well. Yeah. Now I can show how dumb it was that they were making me hide. Yeah, it was dumb. But these are GMs that are now like GMs in NFL teams. So
I just don't want to know like all the boosters. I don't want to know these guys. I don't want them to be like the faces of the sport. So I didn't like the John Ruiz thing. I was hesitant about the Cody Campbell thing, and now that he's more embraced like the politics and getting involved in other ways, like I can stomach all of that. If he was just out there and he was just big booster BSing about his billions, then that would get very old very quickly. And I know for a lot of people it already has, and that's how they look at him and view him. But the GM thing's entirely different. I mean, that's as much of a constant now as any other job on a staff. And if you don't have one, then you are well behind the times at this point. So for that job, we've kind of had to learn how it all operates and get used to it being a thing. But it is very much a thing, and it's a very important thing. And it appears for all those that know kind of what that job entails that Arkansas went got them a hell of a hire. And it is a loss for Brent Brennan in Arizona. So like I said at the start, hopefully they took some lessons from him that they can apply. Don't lose too much with his departure and keep that train rolling, because they had a great year at Tucson. And Ryan Silverfield seems to be hitting a lot of good notes early on in his tenure there in Fayetteville. So he's swimming in a pool with nothing but great whites, basically. So you can do a lot of great things, and it might still not register right away. But I do think he's off to a good start there. And so this is another piece of that.
Yep. Okay. So SEC schedule came out last night. And for all the hand wringing and complaining people do about the SEC, they're like well ahead of promoting their league than everybody else. Like that's why they are. They're just so far ahead of it. And so they released the schedule while people are still thinking about this year. I think that's actually a good thing. I think that, and then the other ones will come out with theirs when they come out with theirs. But with the new 9-game conference schedule and all that, a lot obviously changing. Craig, after going through this for a little while today, one of the things I think that they've repaired after the first couple years of 16, and this obviously goes with adding that 9th conference game, is I don't see the like Florida OU gauntlet schedules like teetered out of control like it was right at the beginning. It seems like this maybe is more balanced from top to bottom. And the other thing I noticed that, right there in that second to last week, there are more SEC games and not SEC specials against, FCS teams. Like, there's Ole Miss and Wofford November 21st, but there's also, games like Mizzou and Kentucky and A&M and Oklahoma, and good games on that weekend where it's not just a wash of an SEC weekend.
I haven't dove all the way in like head first on every little part of this, but yeah, that SEC special is taken care of by that ninth conference game. I mean, that's what moves that into looking so different. I mean, that's the quick answer for that one, is having an extra league game, and I think that's great, and I'm all for more football, better football, and I definitely think we can do with less of the just 56-0 blowout in week 12, because you've run this gauntlet that the gauntlet's very debatable, mind you, but they all act like they've run the same gauntlet where it was Bama, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma in 4 consecutive weeks all on the road. Like, that's how it's talked about. And reality, you look and you're like, well, there was a couple of tough games in there, but you guys are sure acting like Mississippi State would go win the Big Ten. Like, that's the kind of part of the thing where I go, that's where we diverge a little bit. But there are some schedules that very much were like that. They're just not all created equal. And now with this ninth conference game, I mean, that's just going to make for more good games and less of those just complete throwaways. But it's also going to make it to where we're going to hear a lot more of that championing of how tough that schedule is, because now they're playing another conference game. So you thought they talked about how tough the SEC schedule was before. Just wait now that there's another one of those things. So that will be factored into all the politicking about strength of schedule and whatnot that we'll hear about moving forward. But it was cool to see this drop. I really wasn't on schedule lookout really anytime soon, but saw the note they were releasing this and thought, okay, well, that's cool. And I think just kind of looking at Oklahoma and Texas is what I did initially, and that's just sort of how I digested it early on. And for Oklahoma, they'll be in Ann Arbor against whoever Michigan's coach is there in week 2 for that return trip. But as far as the SEC part goes, I love that I see just non-conference and then the league. And that's it. There's no Chaparral High in week 11 or something like that. I like that, but I know it's going to probably be brutal for them. But yeah, they get Georgia on the road to start things off with. Oklahoma does bye week, and then Texas. So their first 5 games, they'll be at Michigan, at Georgia, and then Texas in the Cotton Bowl. Yeah. So you wanted a tougher schedule. You wanted to be entertained. You wanted reasons to show up. You're getting those with Oklahoma's trip to the SEC. And then after that, Kentucky at Mississippi State, South Carolina at home. So it seems pretty manageable, like those 3 games in a row. I mean, we'll see Will Stein at Kentucky, what he does. Levy in year 2, or is it year 2 or year 3 for him?
Year 3.
Year 3. And then and Beamer holding on for his job there. But that's not exactly like a gauntlet, although.
Well, and then they get at Florida, new coach.
At Florida.
Ole Miss, new coach.
Yeah. Then at Florida, which will be fun to see them there. Ole Miss at home, A&M at home, and then at Missouri. So that's a nice schedule, man. And it looks way better with no November 14th versus Scooter U or whatever. Yeah. Like I think that looks great. Instead, you're playing freaking Ole Miss in Norman. So I love that. So you get a hell of a start, man, with that Michigan road trip, Georgia road trip, and Texas all in that first 5 weeks or so. That's going to be something. And then that last 3 week, we'll see where Florida is, but that month of November at Florida, Ole Miss at home, A&M at home, and then at Missouri. I mean, man, that's what you signed up for right there. And so,
look, given A&M's history with Oklahoma, though, I'm sure that they've already asked the SEC, can we switch out and do the Georgia thing with Oklahoma?
Yeah.
We really enjoyed the last decade of not playing.
Well, they got the last bragging rights. So that big Cotton Bowl, Johnny Manziel blowout, they got that. That felt like kind of some redemption for the 77-0 from the Francione area that will live in infamy forever and ever as one of the darkest days for A&M football. Certainly was that ass whooping. But yeah, I mean, A&M, I think they got like a couple of licks at the end there with that Cotton Bowl in particular was a really big deal at the height of Johnny Mania.
My favorite Bob Stoops. I love Bob Stoops press conferences. That was my favorite one ever because he, instead of being mad, he was just kind of like, he was even better than I thought he was going to be. What are you supposed to do?
Well, that's
and
when you handle it with class, dude. You just beat 77-0. You don't need to say anything. Really.
Yeah, but when Manziel beat them,
Manziel.
It was also everyone was talking about, and I really respected it. Everyone was talking about Johnny Manziel, and he's like, you understand that Evans is like 6'6" and can jump onto our DB's shoulders from the ground if he wanted to, and then people were like, yeah, but he's like, yeah, okay, we had him dead to rights, and he just chucked the ball up in the air. And then the tallest receiver I've ever had to coach against that can jump higher than anyone I've ever seen in this game jumped up, and our DB was looking at his crotch like eye level.
Right, yeah. Evans got a lot of love back then. He got plenty of attention, but he was still somehow overshadowed by just that Johnny mania that was unlike really anything we've seen since that, quite frankly. I don't think there's been anything quite like that. And then we had Tebow prior to that, which was its own huge thing. So yeah, I'm trying to think, was there anything close to like those two guys back then? That was pretty exhausting time period. Getting forced Tebow and Manziel for like 7 years in a row. And then so that Oklahoma schedule, that's got maybe a soft middle, but that front and back, and as we know, this will be probably nothing like we anticipate.
No,
like Kentucky will be awesome or something, and then Texas will suck, or something will be different than we expect, because it never is quite what we think. But that is a difficult schedule for Oklahoma. But looking at the Texas one real quick, Texas State, Ohio State in Austin. They don't leave Austin for the non-con, so they'll be there for the first 3 weeks of the year. But then the end of September, first game in the SEC, it's like Oklahoma has at Georgia. Well, Texas has at Tennessee. So UT versus UT. And then they're off week before Oklahoma. So their schedules are identical in that regard of big away game and then off week and then Red River. But then UT's got Florida at home after Oklahoma. So kind of looking in the mirror a little bit with the Gators, two programs that have some similarities, I would think, and have not played each other a ton. That'll be a hell of a weekend in Austin, I would think, with all the Gators making their way over. Then Ole Miss at home. So damn, man, and then Mississippi State at home. So they have 7 home games in the first 9.
Yeah.
7 home, and one of those is in Dallas. So they have one true road game in the first 9 games of the year, or the first 8 games of the year. The first 8 games of the year, UT has one true road game, and it's in Knoxville. So I guess that'll count for like 3 road trips, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Oklahoma and Dallas, Florida and Austin, Ole Miss and Austin, Mississippi State and Austin, and then you go to Missouri, to LSU, and then come back to Austin for Arkansas, and then you go to Kyle Field. So they will it'll even out somewhat there at the end, because they'll be on the road for 3 of their last 4. I was about to say, man, something's got to give on this schedule. Jeez Louise.
They only leave the state of Texas 3 times.
Yeah.
And Craig, I'll bring it up here because I need you on board. We got to go to Mickey here in a sec.
Texas at LSU will be kick ass.
Yeah,
though.
Texas at LSU will be awesome. Texas at Tennessee. I'm proposing this. I put it out there. This needs to be the battle for the Davy Crockett Trophy.
All right.
Every time they play it, the battle for the Davy Crockett Trophy, and whoever wins it, gets to keep the Davy Crockett Trophy, and then they won't play for a couple years, and so then it'll live in either Knoxville or in Austin for a couple years, and then we do it again. I think it'd be a really cool thing.
Yeah,
the winner gets to call themselves the real UT until the trophy changes hands.
Yeah, I think that's really the bragging rights is who's the real UT is what that will be about. But yeah, I mean, the Davy Crockett Trophy would fit if they want to do something fun with that. But I think that's a fun schedule if you're a Texas fan. You're going to Tennessee, you're going to Death Valley, you're going to Kyle Field, to Missouri is they're making big improvements there with that stadium, and then get your typical OU, but Florida at home, Ole Miss at home. Mississippi State will bring a crowd. Arkansas at home, just for the old Southwest heads that are still lingering around at this point that still feel like Arkansas, Texas is like one of the great rivalries that's out there. So yeah, that's fun to look at. I mean, we'll obviously probably unpack this 2 or 3 times before the season starts next year. But that's fun to see, and that one less non-conference game absolutely makes a world of difference on this schedule. It makes the biggest difference in the world, because there is no break. There really is no break even if you might play the worst team in the league, it's still better than playing directional U with 2 games left to play in the season while everybody else is playing seemingly a conference game. So I love that. They'll get some extra bonus points for it, and people will hate that. But if that's what it took to make them have this schedule, then I'm all for it, because I'd rather have this than what we had for a while there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to take a break or go right to Mickey? Take a break first? Okay. We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com is next. This is 365 Sports.
The Black Friday sales event continues at Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, and Waco. And the selection right now is absolutely unbelievable. New cars, used cars, and trucks. Best inventory they've had in many years. How about 0%? 0% on a brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab for 72 months. Or go to 3.9% financing for 72 months and still get 10% below MSRP plus $2,000 in select bonus cash for Christmas shopping. If you're looking for SUVs, the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee L sitting there with 0% for 60 months, or you can grab $4,500 plus a $1,000 in bonus cash. The Rams, of course, are phenomenal. Extended 10-year, 100,000-mile train warranty on all 2026 model Rams sold between now and the end of the year. You heard me right. David Gray will help you with the details, and Allen Samuels, CEO and General Manager, Ted Teague, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Over 30% of adults struggle with chronic foot and joint pain, and many face mobility limitations as they age. But a revolutionary Comfort First slipper has taken the wellness world by storm. Try Cloud Slides and feel you are walking on the clouds. Cloud Slides.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code SPORTS365 to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code SPORTS365. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money. Must be 18 and up. 19 and up in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 and up, and in Colorado for some games, 21 and up in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and must be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Welcome back, 365 Sports. Paul and Craig and Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. And Mickey, I know that Cowboys fans and the Cowboys wings were clipped last week in Detroit a little bit when the winning streak came to an end, but all is not lost because the Eagles have, they're not clicking on every cylinder as well. Now the Cowboys have to win out and get help, but is this in a weird way for a team that, had ups and downs throughout the early part of the season, is like pretty simple of, look, can't worry about help, can't worry about all those things, just win Sunday and then we'll talk Monday about the next one, right? Is that simplify it?
Paul, think about it. Were they going to win 8 straight games?
No.
Probably not, right?
No, yeah.
So, you'd rather have not lost to the Lions, but, they were competitive, and I think they were more competitive than what 44-30 shows after falling behind and then climbing back in the game as they've done in so many times when they've won, to only trail by 3 points, to only trail by 7 points. They just couldn't get the stop they needed, and they kicked too many field goals. So, but you're right. Their backs are against the wall, and basically it's a playoff game now every week till the end, knowing they need to get to 10 wins, and to get to 10 wins, they got to win 4 games. But you can't win 4 straight unless you win 1 straight. And I think that's been what the focus has been on heading into Sunday's game against the Vikings.
And the Vikings just played one of their best games of the season. J.J. McCarthy, 3 touchdown passes. Maybe he's starting to build some confidence. Justin Jefferson still exists and walks the earth. So I think if you're looking ahead to this game and thinking, oh, this is definitely going to be one the Cowboys can take, well, this is maybe not what you saw 3 weeks ago from the Vikings, right?
Well, I don't know about what the Vikings put out there 3 weeks ago, but I'm going to do to you what the Cowboy people or the people out there do to the Cowboys when they beat a team that they should beat. It was the Commanders.
Yeah.
So, but that was encouraging to them. Now they got 3 takeaways, so they made scoring points a little bit easier with shorter fields. But we'll see if this affects their offense, because when I'm looking at the stats with J.J. McCarthy, and he's basically a rookie quarterback, right? I think he's had 7 starts out of the 13, or played in 7 of the 13 games. He's completed 56% of his passes. He's got 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and so it was a good performance. We'll see if that carries over. But again, the Cowboys know they got no cupcakes out there. When everybody says, well, it's only the Vikings, I go, well, it was only Arizona, right? Mm-hmm. Or, well, it was only Carolina. There's nothing this team can take for granted.
Well, and they've got there's some good news, bad news on injury front. Still, Jake Ferguson's working with the resistance bands and still questionable.
He practiced today.
Okay.
I think he'll be out there.
You think he'll be out there? And CD Lamb cleared concussion protocol.
Yes, he did, and he'll be out there also.
Playing on Thursday last week was probably maybe the benefit, maybe a benefit there.
Got
that
more
he had
time to get out of concussion protocol. Yeah. And he didn't really clear it until after practice on Thursday. So that's a good thing. I think Jadeveon Clowney should be good to go. He's been limited all week. I forgot to look. They probably listed him as questionable. I think really the only guy that they should have missing would be Tyler Guyton, who has not practiced yet. over these past 2 weeks since he suffered the high ankle sprain. And, you know, the other good thing is they got a chance to reset, catch their breath. They played 4 games in 17 days. And, you know, with having to go on the road to Detroit, having to play the short time between Sunday and Thanksgiving, it's been a grind. And so we'll see if a refreshed team can hit the ground running Sunday night against the Vikings.
Mickey, Nate Thomas stepped in and played pretty well in spots this year. Last week was not, you know, a game he's going to want to remember, but he was also playing against Aiden Hutchinson. This week he's got Jonathan Grenard, who's been really good. But overall, from what you've seen of what the kind of offensive attitude that Clayton Adams has brought and the development, I think, like, when the Cowboys have had these offensive line injuries, of course, they had 3 starters out 1 week and still looked good on offense. That's a lot different than maybe in years past, where if we remember when Tyron Smith was out, you're like, well, that's a loss. Like, that's just, they're not going to be able to stop anybody. Those are not the case. That's not the case anymore. They've got a really interesting deep staple of young backup linemen.
Well, I think Nate Thomas at some point is going to be a starting tackle with the Cowboys somewhere else, but I think he's awfully talented. And yeah, he had a tough game, right? The offensive line had a tough game. But remember this, they ended up totaling 409 total yards, and Dak threw for 376. So there were spots that, you know, they didn't perform well enough to prevent from kicking 5 field goals. You got to score touchdowns, right? But moving the ball, throwing the ball, not having CeeDee Lamb for nearly half the game, and they still produced 30 points and 376 yards passing. So that's nothing to sneeze at. So to me, yeah, you got beat. I got it. You were on the road, like I said, playing your 4th game in 17 days. And I don't know if people understand, but that stadium, Ford Field in Detroit, the stands are right on top of the field. And when it's loud or the fans are loud, it's really loud in there. It's a great home field advantage. So we'll see if it was one of those things or if this is the Cowboys that are going to hover around 500 for the rest of the season.
Mickey, last week, George Pickens did not have his best game, obviously.
Neither did everybody else, by the way.
No, but he didn't, and it's going to be a flashpoint for him. But the Cowboys they made it deep into the season before this was a thing where he was maybe in his feelings more than the past. What do you think has been the change in him? And I mean, he was mad at Richard Sherman. I know all that off the field stuff, but what do you think has been the change and the difference in how Brian Schottenheimer deals with not only George Pickens, but players who do kind of get in their feelings a little bit more?
Well, here's my thought on that, Paul. People in the media, and I'll include myself in there, we get our say, right? We don't like it when anybody says back to us. And so maybe have tougher skin. And again, with Richard Sherman, that's him. He says outlandish things on those programs if you pay attention after the games. And he ain't watching tape, right? He's just watching on a TV like the rest of us. So for him to be, and he gets a pass because he's a former player, then that right away gives you credence that whatever you say is the absolute truth. But did he look and see how Detroit shifted their coverage when CD went out? How dumb would you be if you were a defensive coordinator, CD's out of the game, and you just played it straight and allowed George Pickens to just go out and do whatever he wanted to do? There's a reason why Ryan Flournoy stepped up for, what did he have, 9 catches, 115 yards and a touchdown, 42-yard touchdown? Well, what do you think they were doing? They were trying to take George Pickens out of the game. So some of what was said about him, I thought was reckless and unfair. Now, did he have his best game of the season? No, by far not, because he's played a lot better. And I think he's earned a lot more lenience than jumping on him like they did. Do you realize he's got 4 100-yard games already this season, that he leads the team in receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, and he's second in the NFL when it comes to wide receiver receiving touchdowns by only 1. So it's not like he's been here and somebody had the right to say, well, you know what? That's what happened in Pittsburgh. He just pouts, right?
Yeah.
I'm not buying that, and I thought it was totally unfair.
Ryan Flournoy, I remember last year looking at Ty, like saying, "Oh man, this guy's super athletic. He was smooth. He just looked smooth." What do you think the key was this year for the Light totally going on? Because he's become not only like he's just so super reliable and has big playability.
Well, that's what you get from guys from the south side of Chicago. Okay.
Oh, okay. There we go. That's why I was waiting. Yeah.
No, it's getting opportunities. It's getting experience. I mean, he was a 6th-round draft choice out of Southeast Missouri State, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of growing up to do, a lot of maturing, a lot of gaining experience to come into the NFL. And this is his second 100-yard game, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got the size. Looking at a story on him, he went into high school as a freshman at 5'3", 99 pounds. He's 6'1", 200 now. So that's kind of a miraculous physical gain, right? I wish that would have happened to me, because that was probably me my freshman year in high school, right?
Yeah,
so, and I think that he works hard. One thing that caught my ear the other day when he did his interview, he said something to the effect that whenever in the offseason Dak's throwing, I'm going. And you know who used to say that back in the day? Michael Irvin. If Troy's throwing, I'm going. And he pointed out that one time Dak called and said, hey, we're throwing. And he goes, I was celebrating my anniversary in Arizona. And he goes, minute I got home, I called Dak and I said, when can you throw? So he's pretty devoted to getting better. And, in my books now, he's the 3rd receiver, hands down. Now, they'll share that spot with Cavante Turpin, but I think Mingo and Tolbert may be foregone conclusions that, unless there's an injury, they may not be on the field.
Yeah, he's played really well, and so has Turpin. I mean, really, that they've done. I think the biggest thing I can say about this staff is they've done a really good job at developing some players, especially on offense, that maybe were kind of stuck in a circle the last couple of years, or just the previous coaching staff, of which some of them were a part of, just didn't know how to fit into their view of the playbook.
Well, think about Javonte Williams, right? Mm-hmm. Denver gave up on him.
Yeah.
He gets here and suddenly it's new life. Well, you mentioned Flournoy. The Cowboys try now to treat Turpin more as a wide receiver than just a gimmick receiver that returns kicks, right? Mm-hmm. So you saw him develop. You saw the center in his second year, Cooper Beebe, playing awfully well. They took Tyler Booker as a rookie, and he's playing awfully well. They have developed some guys on offense to really step up. Brevin Span Ford.
Yeah.
The 3rd tight end, he earned that job. And now all of a sudden he's catching a touchdown pass. So you're right. They have developed some guys on offense. And I think Brian Schottenheimer's a keen eye for what guys can do. And just the way he treats people, what they'll do for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Mickey, enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, I'll be here. See you, Paul.
All right. And Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. And Craig, I want to ask you, we didn't really get into it too much NFL stuff and off the radar yesterday, but the Commanders had such high hopes, and then they've had so many injuries this year. And then he's like, well, their Vikings won, they were playing the Commanders. It's kind of a bummer after all the good vibes going into the season for them.
Yeah, it sucks to have expectations and then to just be kind of back where you were a couple of years ago. But that's the way this season has been. Jaden Daniels can't stay healthy. They've had some hand. It's eerily similar of a feeling to the whole RG3 situation as far as like skinny dual threat quarterback, but super electric when they're healthy. But then how do the injuries play out? Now RG3 had a way more he had a way more serious injury history kind of leading into what all happened with him. And I don't have that same level of concern that Jaden Daniels is going to have to retire in the next couple of years.
No.
Like they just need to take better care of him, and he needs to get healthy. But that hasn't helped. Terry McLaurin, that big holdout, then coming back and then being in and out of the lineup like the entire time was not helping either. Their defense just isn't very good at all. Like, and that's something with a defensive head coach that's a huge concern. And so, they've got a lot to figure out this offseason and to get right, but massive letdown given that last year was such a sky high and the greatest year they'd had in forever and ever, it felt like. And there was so much positivity with the stadium, going back to D.C., the old RFK site, just the changeover from Josh Harris and like actually sprucing up their locker rooms and upgrading the team facility. Like they were doing all the things like a regularly well-run professional organization was supposed to be doing, and they had the winning attached. And so it felt like you were really at the beginning of something. But yeah, this has been a reality check. And I think it's just the reality that last year they got lucky in a lot of games. The Hail Mary for one against Chicago, and they had just some close calls that they were able to win, and they have not had that same type of lady luck with them this year. So it's been a combination of things, but yeah, certainly disappointment's what it all leads to. And now I'll just have no expectation going into next year really, and just hope that Jaden Daniels can stay healthy and that they can put the right guys around him to get back to where they want to go, or else sooner rather than later, we're probably talking about a head coaching change, which I don't want to see that because I do like Dan Quinn, but they got to figure some things out.
Yeah. Yeah, they certainly do. When we come back, we review last week's pick'em. We'll talk a little Army, Navy, and look ahead to some, what we're going to do for the picks next week. We'll have to figure that out as well, and how we continue that on throughout the CFP and bowl season. This is 365.
MRI.com in the Central Texas Marketplace off I-35 in Waco. Dr. Rob Maxey and his partners have put together a business, and it's been now 10 years since they opened their doors, that is customer and patient friendly. One, they have an MRI machine that is state-of-the-art. Doctors know all about it, and when they want to refer you to get a better look at what is hurting you, whether it's in your back that then also creates problems elsewhere in your lower body or your hip or your neck, or what might be happening with a muscle or ligament in your knee or your quad or your shoulder, wherever that pain may be that shuts you down. Dr. Rob Maxey and his partners, $497 or less. That's been the price since they opened up the doors. $497 or less. The average MRI is $1,100. So get the evidence with the state-of-the-art imaging pictures and machine, and also $497 or less. It's idealmri.com.
The Wrap Up the Year sales event means big savings at Allen Samuels in Waco. 0% APR on new Ram 1500s. Or how about combined bonus cash allowance of $8,000 on select 2025 Jeep Wranglers. Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Have you heard of the new IRA? The new IRA, Insured Retirement Advantage. is a solution for high-income individuals and business owners who want to grow and protect their wealth without locking up capital or taking unnecessary risks. If you're an asset manager or a licensed insurance agent looking to provide your clients with guaranteed tax-free retirement income and legacy protection, the new IRA Insured Retirement Advantage is an option you need to know more about and is only available exclusively from North Star Funding Partners. For more information, go to northstarfundingpartners.com and tell them 365 Sports sent you.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions IT success guaranteed.
This is Richard Carr, and it's hard to believe, but 2025 marks our 26th year in the car business. I want to thank you for your support over the last 26 years. As a locally owned business, our customers in Central Texas community are also friends and neighbors. If you haven't been by lately, I invite you to come in and experience our amazing lineup of Buick, GMC, and Cadillac vehicles. Our goal is to make you feel like more than just a customer, but as a valued neighbor. Let us show you why we are people you can count on at Richard Carr, Buick, GMC, Cadillac.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Welcome back, 365 Sports, the Carnival, and the top five, and all that comes up in just a few minutes here. Last week, we've not gotten a chance to recap our picks from last week. We've had a lot going on, so we'll do it here. We only have one game to pick this week, and I picked up a game on both of you. We all got North Texas wrong. We all got Virginia wrong. We all picked Tech. We all picked Georgia. I was the only one who picked Indiana, though, Craig. So you're doing this segment just to brag on yourself, basically. No, and here's what. Yeah, maybe. Also, Andrew made the graphic, and he made me do it. You don't know how he threatens me when you're not here.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, he's sinister. But I would love to. Somebody asked me about this because they heard it on the show. A friend of mine said, "Well, why'd you pick Indiana? Was it just because you're behind?" I said, "No, I have I could not give you an X or no reason. I just had a feeling. I was like, I just kind of have a feeling that they're going to win the game. It just feels like this their kind of year where that stuff goes their way." And it did. They won by 3 points. It wasn't like a blowout. I wasn't predicting a blowout. I just this game's going to be weird. It kind of was. Ohio State missed a lot of field goals and, all these things that happened. But it still doesn't matter because I'm 8 games behind you both.
I suppose it doesn't really matter big picture, but there was one game I was really pissed about. I don't know what I was thinking other than I was just snorting the UNT hopium there. Once I realized after I had picked and turned it in, I was like, oh, the game's in New Orleans. And I said, oh, F. Because I think if you look at my online picks, I picked Tulane on the office pool stop. Where I did that later, and I just kicked myself for that one because had I given it some more time, I would have picked Tulane. But I don't feel bad about that. It's not an excuse. The Duke thing was weird because, I was sitting there thinking of whether I should make the move to try to hop over Smoky, and that was a game I was looking long and hard at, but I just couldn't buy into Duke fully. I just couldn't. It's like, no, Virginia, I'm not a big believer in Virginia. I feel like Virginia's a good team, but that they are one of those classic teams that every year goes and wins 10 games, and you go and there's 4 games they won by 1 point, and you go, well, that's why that's why that season went the way that it did, but it was this close to being the opposite. Virginia's that team, and so that part of it made me go, well, I don't think they're just going to beat Duke straight up. I don't think they're that good, but I just waffled on that one, and I really wish I would have picked one of those because obviously I'd be in the lead right now, but I did not. So it is what it is, and That UNT game, like they made it a little bit more respectable by the end, but they were getting their ass kicked there for a good long while early, and that was not what I was hoping to see for them. But congrats to Tulane and John. And that was the other thing, John Summerall, like in his final conference title game, and like I should have read that better than I did. But
I felt the same way. I mean, I feel the same way.
I mean, it felt like a stupid pick after the fact. It really did. But then with the Virginia Duke thing, I really thought we were going to see some chaos, and then obviously the playoff committee had other ideas. We're not going to leave out the ACC entirely. Like we can't possibly do that, and that's why there needs to be no playoff committee amongst 1,000 other reasons. And whether I'm not even debating whether Miami should be in the playoff or not, but the fact that you can go, Miami's not in because they deserved it. Miami's in because they weren't going to leave a power conference out. Like, let's just go to auto bids then, or like, let's get rid of the committee though. Whatever we do, let's get rid of the committee and have them have some level of input, but no, we don't need the shows. And we all know that. And ESPN can come up with a better idea. How about that? How about you come up with a better idea to replace that show rather than, well, it gets good. We can't get rid of it because it gets good ratings. Like, no, screw that. It does nothing good for the sport. Find something else to do with that 30 minutes to an hour. You have enough people, you can come up with something. So they need to get rid of that, and they need to really tamper down the human element of the committee, because I don't trust committees. And at this point, what little goodwill I did have for it, it's completely out the window, because you just look at it and you just go, this isn't black and white. This is gray as hell. It's every shade of gray. But it's not black and white, and it should be more black and white.
I part of me felt like when I saw that, it's like the committee pulled Jim Phillips up on Zoom. And they were like, hey,
buddy,
you guys really messed this up. We're going to bail you out here. One day, and that day may never come, we're going to call upon you to do a service for us.
Yeah.
That's.
And how they haven't already announced that they've changed their tiebreaker rules for next year, I'm sure is because they're doing their due diligence on what exactly to do. But like I've said all week long, like the first day after that, I've been like, all right, new rules starting next year. Top two highest rated, or the highest rated, in the league gets the nods for the championship spots. And then, go from there, and you miss this all.
That's your first tiebreaker right there.
Right, you would think so.
That. And like the other, head-to-head's the first thing.
That's first thing.
That's the first thing. The second thing is, all right, well, since there's 17 teams in this league, and head-to-head is going to be really hard to calculate.
Two of you are in like the top 20 of the polls.
Yeah.
All right, well, you two, you go play.
Yeah.
Simple.
That's the thing that, so what at that point you're 10-2 and 10-2. Right, with Miami and Virginia at the top of the league. And because Louisville and SMU were worse losses than Duke had in their two. But what do you really Louisville and SMU were two of the better teams.
So you're talking through it, and we'd already be over it.
Yeah,
we'd already be like, hey, it's Miami, it's Virginia, bang, done.
So you're trying to do that, and it's like, well, now you're getting really convoluted, because are they worse because
well, now you have people debating on which loss is worse or which loss is better,
exactly.
Whereas the computers can give you the information. And I was not somebody that's like, we need to be all CPUs, because I just don't want us to just rely on that for everything.
Yeah,
but there are a lot of things that are made simpler by having computers. Like, there are good uses for AI. It's just not like picking your clothes for you every day and be a human and make your own choices.
And having a girlfriend.
Telling you how to do everything in life and how to function and make choices. Like, that's what I worry about, but that's a whole nother thing. That would have been simpler and much less messy than all of this. And if there ever was a power conference that deserved to have no team, it would have been the ACC this year, with just the way that league was and how much parity there was. But they got thrown a bone. And you can't say Miami's not deserving, so they do have at least that to argue. But I think we'll hear that change for them in this offseason pretty quickly.
Yeah, going, hey Siri, how do I make fried chicken? To me, is like, Siri's never made fried chicken,
right?
It's just no, I don't like that stuff. But yeah, there are I think there needs to be an intersection of the two things, because I do think that when you look at numbers, you have to bear them out and make sure that you're doing things right. But I think that the responsibility of the committee should be far less than it is. Less than it is.
First of all, there doesn't need to be a committee.
Yeah.
It needs to be 3 people at most, just so you have an odd number.
Yeah.
If you have to decide on something. But we don't need 8, 10. We don't need a bunch of current athletic directors. Like, I remember I brought this up with Zach Barnett like at the beginning of the season, and I think it was because we were getting games played, and it's one of those when I totally understand there's certain days I just don't want to talk about the politics of it all every single day. It's exhausting, and it's not why I've ever loved the sport to begin with. It's like the last reason why I love it, but it's a big part of it that leads to all the other stuff that we do talk about that's fun and messy and everything else. But I remember asking him, I was like, do you have a problem with ADs in the playoff committee? He's like, I don't know, man. Like, there's so many things that are problems, and like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't really love your answer there, pal, but I understand, like, you're maybe just in that mood that I get in sometimes, but we don't need ADs on the committee. They have interest in not just that, but like this whole conference pride thing where now you're looking out not just for you, but for your conference, because then you get a payday from it, and then you get the rub from your commission. And so, yeah, we need to eliminate all of that. But the ACC should be well on their way to announcing the very quick, simple, straightforward tiebreaker procedure that avoids the messiness that they found themselves in. And they are very lucky, fortunate that they got thrown a bone, because make no mistake, they got thrown a bone.
They did. They got absolutely thrown a bone, and they put the committee in a position of, you know, like I said, grabbing out of two jars, which doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Like you have to make a statement of this is the criteria and this is not, when you're going to do that. And what they did was, it's criteria. Everything is valid and invalid at the same time. It's Schrodinger's cat, like all that. It's ridiculous what they did. And
buddy, they put out the final part of the paragraph and then they go, all right, how do we get to there?
Yeah.
That's basically what they do. And that's not how it should be decided. We should know going in. The thing we should be anticipating on Sunday with that show is the seedings. And maybe if there's a bit of a debate on like the very final spot, there's a bunch of teams vying for that. Like, is it Texas? Is it Vanderbilt? Is it Miami? Like, who is it? And then that's a big shock, but it shouldn't be like, well, Notre Dame was in and now they're out. Mm-hmm. Shocking. And then like all the rest of the nonsense that came with that, because I do feel like Pete Bavacqua, whatever he said this week, whether people agree with him or not, when he was on the Dan Patrick show, he made a very valid point of like, they basically got played for a Hollywood script. Mm-hmm. They got told one thing that they should have every right to have believed that, like, yeah, we're in, no matter what, we're in. And then they got used as like this toy in this script to like reality TV, like surprise, big shocking twist, all for Hollywood's sake. That was entirely unnecessary and just not in the spirit of the game. And then it was not college football. It was reality TV show. It was Survivor. It was like stupid. Like I don't even know what shows are on at this point, but it was that rather than what you did on the field. And I do think that was something that took away and made this all look very silly.
No, I'll tell you, it was very Big Brother in that, like,
yeah, it was like,
I watched that show in like 1 week.
We'll tell you after the commercial break.
Yeah. Well, a person can be like, man, all my whole alliance is in here. Like, we're great. And, you know, oh, look, hey, my guy, like we went in, like my guy is the head of household. Like my guy won the veto. Like I'm good to go. And then all of a sudden it's just like, no, you're not.
No, you shouldn't be treating schools like little props in your television show. And that's what Notre Dame got treated like. They were a big star that got waved around as like this thing. And then it was not at all what it appeared to be, all for the sake of television. And that's bullshit. That's not the way it should operate. That's not how the NFL does things, or the NBA and all these other leagues. Like you so desperately want to be them, but yet you do these weird things that still make you uniquely you, but this doesn't need to be one of them. We don't need to do the fake reality stunner at the end of the playoff. Like what you just did on the field, that should matter. And look, somebody's going to be heartbroken, but you don't need to just pull out the rug from people to get the gotcha face on live television. Like I just think that's bull crap. And that's where I completely agree with Pete Bavacqua. And that's why they had every right to be pissed from that standpoint. Of kind of being toyed with like that.
Yeah, and then they just started lashing out at anybody.
And then they reacted how they reacted, and that was a different story. But as far as like, you had every reason to be mad for being used that way that you were used.
For weeks.
Weeks.
Absolutely. The other thing I think it exposed, we're getting back to the tiebreakers thing, is I think most fans, if you told them when they're like, okay, what is everybody's tiebreakers? You're like, well, we don't know, because they all do it differently, and they all do it differently to try to scam the committee and say like, well, here we go. And so if they all did it the same, all across the board, here's what your tiebreakers are, and no leagues are different. They're all similar, but then we don't get into the issue of, why is this different in this league than this?
Yeah, I mean, we can go through all of the parts of this that aren't quite up to snuff. I mean, pretty soon it'll all be uniform, and then we'll hate that too, right? Yeah. I mean, we'll go like, this is boring. Everybody does the same thing, but I do think there needs to be some uniformity. I want to say before we go, I don't really have a lot to say on that. I mean, I agree with you though that just having all these different sets of rules and this all trying to put it together at the end and then look at it all equally, it's kind of impossible to do when you're all doing things differently. But now we've got some slow steps, like the SEC's. Everybody's playing the same number of games. Is the ACC on board with that yet, or are they still the holdout on that? I forget now.
No, they're playing the 9 games.
Then I thought so. Yeah.
The thing is, they can't do a schedule release because they have to figure out how to make 9 games work with 17
Okay,
teams.
yeah, I thought so, but there's so much that's going on.
Yeah.
But before we go, we got Kyle Whittingham's leaving Utah today, man. I just want to double down on that again, that Kyle Whittingham's no longer in charge of Utah, and we've been setting ourselves up for that for at least a couple of years now. I know Mandel threw out the little teaser about he's not actually retired and maybe he'd be interested in other jobs, and I know that he very much pissed off Utah fans by throwing that out there. So we'll see if that's true or not. If he is past his mid-60s at this point, he's a Utah guy, through and through, and also a BYU guy as well. I've already seen some BYU fans going, oh, he's going to join the staff at BYU and trolling. And I don't know. Who knows what the future holds for him, but he will not be the head coach. And so I think now all eyes are on Kenny Dillingham. And if there's any more movement to come, that would be potentially him going to Michigan. I don't see him as being like the guy to replace Sherrone Moore right away. But I've said I think Kenny Dillingham's a star, and I think that ASU is very fortunate that he is a homegrown guy, because otherwise he'd be out the door in no time for a bigger job. And I think they have that ability to keep him around for a little bit longer and build something pretty cool there. But I think the world of that dude, and we'll see what Michigan does. But it's been a wild offseason. I mean, Whittingham finally making the call, Kleiman finally making the call. Mike Gundy earlier in the year, we almost forget about him because it was so long ago. And then we thought there might be a couple of others. And then this Matt Campbell thing, after years of speculating on won't he eventually jump, he does. So, we'll see if there's one more or if Michigan goes a different direction. But Dillingham's certainly somebody that's going to be rumored about, and just interesting to see it all kind of falling into place.
I don't think Michigan is smart enough to hire Kenny Dillingham.
I don't know who are the other candidates they're talking to.
Well, here's the thing. Jim Harbaugh was kind of a no-brainer for them, given he was mad at the 49ers. He decided he was going to leave, and Michigan's job was open, and that kind of fell in their lap a little bit how they wanted to. So then, but if you look between Lloyd Carr and Jim Harbaugh, it was a cavalcade of failure. Then, now with Sherrone Moore, they didn't really do anything, in spite of the fact that they knew
it was a very uninspired hire,
that they had a lot of controversy on the staff anyway with the Connor Stallions thing and the other guy who was, stalking girls online. All of that, instead of making a clean break from the Harbaugh era and saying okay, how can we innovate further? They just kind of were like, okay, the guy who sat in for him while he was suspended, we'll do that. And,
I just think more of like Kenny Dillingham's just still a young dude, and I just feel like he's still a little bit wet behind the ears, and I don't know that he's quite ready, for them to view him as ready to be the Michigan head coach.
Which is why they're not smart enough to
right.
do it.
I mean, and maybe so, and maybe, but also I'm thinking, well, they also may have an ace up their sleeve that we're not aware of, because clearly they've been thinking about this for a while. They may have a better than Kenny Dillingham card to play, but we'll see on that. But yeah, I think he's the guy you watch now as far as maybe any other movement. But to lose Whittingham and Gundy and Kleiman and who am I missing? Whittingham, Gundy, Kleiman, and who's the fourth one we're just talking about? It's Matt Campbell. Yeah, that's pretty big changeover in the league next year.
Yeah.
So media days are going to look a lot different.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, Craig, your Army Navy pick. Smokey's picking Navy.
I'm picking.
I didn't realize they're doing this way.
Go ahead.
I'm going to pick Army. Weird things happen in this game. Army's played a lot of close games. They beat Air Force this year, so they have a chance to have the clean sweep of the military academies run. So,
in the Commander's Cup or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Navy. I could do the thing where I just take Army just to see if me and Smokey will break a tie, but that normally doesn't work out well when you try to do something like that. So I'm going to go with the heartfelt pick and salute to my old Grandy up in heaven looking down. I'd go with his midshipman here.
Yeah, my dad was in the Army. 71% picked Navy. My dad was in the Army. My grandfather was in the Air Force, but when he was in the Air Force when the Air Force began. So it was the Army Air Corps first, and then he transitioned into the Air Force. So I lean Army when it comes to this, although having met Roger Staubach several times, and he's one of my favorite athletes of all time, historically, even though I was only alive for his last season of football, and I was a baby, so it's not like he was that, but I just love Roger Staubach. So I love this game, and I'm picking Army. Because I just, again, got a feeling weird things happen.
I mean, I just think they're the
Navy's
better team.
Navy's better.
I think that's mostly what it is.
Navy's better, but I've watched a 3-8 Army team.
Sure, I mean, it's gloves off in this game, and I just got reminded by, I guess my mother's watching today. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Cindy.
That her father, my papaw, was also in the Navy. So I knew that, but I don't connect it with him maybe as much as I do with my other grandfather. So, yeah, double the reason why I'll go with Navy in this game for my papaw and my grandy having served. So, go midshipman. But I love the atmosphere and the pageantry, and I love that this is standalone. I don't know that it needs to always be, but it does need to, whatever we do with this game moving forward, it needs to have its own special carved out spot. Maybe not the entire day, but certainly it's place.
Nobody should play up against it.
Right, exactly. There should be no head-to-head game. There should be no overlap. It should have its own lone standing game.
Yeah,
yes.
Lead into a playoff game or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it needs to be in its own time slot, nothing competing against it for sure. When we come back, the top 5 in the Carnival, this is 365 Sports.
Best kept secret isn't about changing your swing. It's about changing your state of mind. Special blend of mood-boosting, tempo-smoothing nootropics. Mojo Country Club.
What does being different mean to me? That is an interesting question.
Because there really isn't one way. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it.
If I'm only wearing one suit this summer, it has to be Tuileries Performance Linen. It's wrinkle resistant, machine washable, and built with stretch and breathability that actually moves with you. It'll keep you cool, sharp, and stress-free at your next event.
When you view the glass half full, the little things become magical. 10% of profits go to help kids heal. So choose optimism and make the magic real. Visit lifeisgood.com.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome to Paul Catalina's Top 5 here on 365 Sports, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Go to flagandanthem.com. Use our promo code 365 Sports for a discount at checkout. Today, we wrap up the structural fixes for college football. These are maybe more philosophical fixes than structural in these last 5, but wanted to get into them because they're important, as you have to have a true North Star in doing this. Number 5, listen to the fans. too many athletic departments sit around and say, you're lucky to have this, and then turn around and ask the fans for more money. So listen to the fans and what they're telling you. You kind of have with the playoff, and then you've kind of shut them out when it comes to how they'd like the playoff to go. Listen to the fans. Make decisions that are best for the fans. If that means getting rid of the bowl games inside the playoff structure and having more home game on site on college campuses because that's better for fans to get to and more economical for them, then you have to do that. You have to do that. Those are things that will make it better. Giving fans easier access to your games is better. Don't make it so hard. When it comes to your streaming and TV deals and all those things, don't make it so damn hard for people to watch games. Don't make it so hard for them to get to games. Don't make it so hard for them to get to the games that matter the most, that may only come around once in a lifetime for some people. Not everybody can be an Alabama fan. Sometimes you're a Texas Tech fan. This is a great thing. You may never get to see this again. But unless you are a very wealthy Texas Tech fan, you're likely not going to be able to go to 3 bowl games in a row in back-to-back weeks. Consider that when you are rebuilding the structure of college football. It's madness the way that you do it now. Number 4, make sure coaches have a seat at the table. I put Chris Kleiman in the photo here because at Big 12 Media Days, he expressed to us how even though coaches do vote on some things, when it comes to structurally building things out, they don't really have a seat at the table. It's the ADs and presidents that do that. Coaches need a seat at the table. The American Football Coaches Association exists for a reason. Give them a seat at the table truly when they're negotiating things. Now, look, a lot of the things that the coaches complain about, they agree to and set up, but they kind of have to agree to and set them up in weird, like, here's your options, pick the better of the 2 bad ones. Well, give them a seat at the table and really take their input on how to make the game better and more functional and modernize it. And I bet you things will work better. But right now, a lot of people don't feel like they have a seat when decisions are made. Number 3, unite the clans. The conferences unite the clans. I use this. I don't know, you may have seen the 1995 movie Braveheart. And here Mel Gibson, William Wallace, is talking to Robert the Bruce, the actual king of Scotland at the time, who was very much in the pocket of the King of England. And he's saying, unite us, unite the clans, unite us. Ultimately, you know that Robert the Bruce's father in the movie arranged, the capture of William Wallace, and he tortured and died yelling freedom. But eventually Robert the Bruce, overrun by guilt at the end of this film, however historically bent it was, leads the charge for Scotland's freedom. So someone needs to unite the clans. The SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and ACC need to operate together. The G6 needs to operate together, or they all need to operate together. But everybody's running in opposite directions right now, and it's causing all of this. Realignment that makes no sense, TV deals that make no sense, playoff structures that make no sense, functionality that is non-existent. That's because everybody's running in opposite directions of one another. Number 2, live in reality. Everything you talk about and do should be rooted in the reality of the now and not how you want it to go back to. Certainly, restrictions, guardrails, those things, regulations are good for sports, but you cannot base it on this is how it used to be and we can't figure out how to do it again, so we're just going to go back in time. So live in the now, live in reality, and the minute you all start doing that, some of them are, some of them aren't, it will get better. And finally, number 1, have a calendar that cannot be shattered by a rule change. I don't know why I put this as number 1, but it seems to be the number 1 complaint of coaches and players and everybody right now, that the calendar doesn't make any sense. Well, they make a calendar and then a rule changes and the whole calendar shattered. So anticipate things. But we're also talking about people who can't anticipate their own tiebreakers and have a 5-loss team in a conference championship game. So I know I'm shouting into the void on this one, but have a calendar that one rule change doesn't make so multiple times to college football in particular, and it will keep happening until you approach it with that goal. That's going to do it for the top 5. The final carnival of the week begins now. Yes, the carnival begins now, and the wheel is on a different side.
You need to ask for a new wheel for Christmas.
Yeah, we do. This thing is struggling. It is struggling. Oh, can't do that one. Okay, besides the WWE, which pro athlete do you think would be perfect in a Hollywood movie? Like, what kind of profession? Like a basketball player, a football player? Ooh, man, I'm trying to think of who's been the best actors over time that have transitioned. It's mostly football players.
It's like Jim Brown and OJ and
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually a lot of football guys. Yeah. I think basketball guys probably have a hard time because it's dude's 6'10".
Yeah,
he doesn't really fit in camera frame very well, right?
No, Rick Fox is a really good actor, actually.
Yeah, Rick Fox was around in some stuff, and you had obviously Kareem was an actor.
Yeah. LeBron was good in Trainwreck.
Dr. J was in Bruce Lee movie, wasn't he?
No, that was Will Chamberlain.
Well, yeah, of course, Will Chamberlain. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to have somebody just pop in my head that is super charismatic that would be a great actor.
Baseball players are usually charismatic, but I can't think of one that's made that transition.
Yeah, they're also kind of just different.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, glad you said no WWE because I mean WWE, they're basically theater kids on steroids.
Yeah,
I mean not on steroids, on healthy diets that but
supplements.
Yeah, super meds.
Yeah,
they're on. Or they're already like theater kids, especially these days. Like they're really like theater kids fighting. Damn, I don't know. I'm trying to think, and I keep landing on guys, and I'm like, no, Joe Burrow probably wouldn't be. He'd be funny like in a comedy of some like random cameo and like a.
Like Brady's been in a couple things. I think who I think of a lot, and he's only in one thing ever. But his part is so hilarious, or it's hilarious around him, was Cam Neely in Dumb and Dumber with Seabass.
Seabass, yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's mostly, I think of it. Okay. The guy who was Sloth in the Goonies, John Matuzak.
Yeah.
He was a football player. So, and that's a far.
You know what? I got one. Max Crosby.
Oh, he could be good.
Max Crosby is like a muscle, tough guy, kind of a role, or just a crazy man in general. I think, I could see Max Crosby. He looks the part. He could definitely provide the energy and the edge as well. So that'll be my answer. I'll go Max Crosby.
Yeah, Max Crosby. That's a good one. You know who actually is a pretty darn good actor right now and is making movies is Nnamdi Asomugha.
Really?
Yeah, Nnamdi Asomugha, former NFL defensive back. He's a pretty good actor. So.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I saw him in a movie, and I was like, I know that guy. And it was Nnamdi Asomugha. Like his name popped up on the screen like after I had started watching, and I was like, oh, okay. The other one who's acting now that was in... Gosh, he was in one of the Marvel series, like Daredevil or Luke Cage.
Which one of those 4,372 Marvel projects was he in?
I think he was in Luke Cage. Was Thomas Jones that used to play running back for Virginia and in the NFL. Julius Jones's brother. He's acting now. So I'm going to say football players in general probably make the best actors, but
probably do. Yeah, I think baseball guys are a little plain and a little off, and then basketball guys are probably depends on the role, but football dudes are they're big and muscular and kind of can be those heavy lifting guys. But yeah, I think I landed on a pretty good one there with Max Crosby. And for some reason, I just think Joe Burrow would be hilarious in like some random cameo in like a stoner movie or something.
Yeah.
Like he just would like Joe Burrow's in this Seth Rogen movie or something, like sitting on a couch in some dude's apartment, just bumming it or something. I don't know why I picture that.
In the Pineapple Express sequel, he's
like Brad Pitt in True Romance, like that kind of a role.
Yeah, absolutely. if you want to hear a funny thing, go look up him telling Jamar Chase I think it's Jamar Chase about how he bought a Batmobile.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah,
where he describes how he there's 25 Batmobiles from the Christian Bale movies, and he bought one, and how they have to deliver it to his house, and how I have to teach him how to drive it, but he can't take it on the street. All these different things.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a flex purchase right there for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go to our trivia questions. Which NBA star had an infamous decade-long beef with his former team? Kevin Durant, Vince Carter, Ray Allen, or Alonzo Mourning?
I just really don't recall.
I don't recall Zoe being mad at the Hornets.
I don't really remember Zoe's exit and anything that came with that all that well.
I mean, he's Mr. Miami Heat, though. That's what he is now. When you think of the Heat.
Yeah, but he's listed the Hornets right there.
But that's where he started.
Oh, okay.
Ray Allen. Did Ray Allen and the Celtics have beef? I want to think they did. Vince Carter's too nice of a guy to have beef.
I have no idea on this.
And Kevin Durant, I know he's
always been fond of Oklahoma City, but I don't know if there's
mad.
something.
I think he was mad that he didn't get the goodbye video or whatever when he came back, but it was fresh off of them losing to the Warriors, so I don't think they were ready to be like, hey Kev,
hey, congrats, X.
We lost to you guys in the Western Conference Finals last year, so thanks for taking our best player. I'm going to say Ray Allen in the Celtics.
That works for me. It's fine.
Yeah. It was Vince Carter. Oh, wow.
See, I don't remember that. I was not paying attention at all to the NBA at 2000. I mean, I was paying attention to the Mavericks, but I don't remember this really. As ugly 04 exit caused one of the longest running player team feuds in NBA. Man, I was drinking a lot back then, I guess. I don't remember any of this. Accusations of quitting, exaggerated injuries, refusing to dunk, leaking plays, and demanding a trade cemented the bitterness. The wounds began to heal with the emotional 2014 tribute video. Okay, now I'm starting to kind of remember something.
I kind of remember some of this.
And we're fully closed when Toronto retired his jersey in 2024. So,
okay.
I mean, yeah, I vaguely remember some of that. That now that I'm reading it off there. But
by the way,
got me.
Ray Allen, he got game.
I really liked it. I loved.
Jesus.
He was Jesus Shuttlesworth. Denzel was his daddy. And then was it Rosario Dawson was Lala?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Lala.
That was good. That's Spike Lee. That was a good Spike Lee joint.
Yeah.
All right, next. Which college basketball team tried to block a free throw in 2008 under head coach Bill? Well, this is under Billy Clyde Gillespie. Well, he's only coached one of these teams. It's Kentucky.
Kentucky it is.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah. Kentucky coach Billy Gillespie called an intentional goaltend on a free throw with 1.2 seconds left, or a Class B technical, giving Georgia an extra point and two technical shots. Gillespie gambled Georgia would miss both, letting Kentucky tie with a last-second three. Georgia made one. The plan failed, and Kentucky lost. Georgia, who had finished last in the SEC that year, went on to win the tournament. Billy Clyde did not last very long there. He's recently found himself in hot water again.
He always does. Every couple of years, it feels like he's it's in some sort of a situation where he's just like, what's going on now? It's kind of like what's happening now.
He's from Central Texas. Like everybody in the sports world here kind of knows him, and so he's just got stuff, man.
I don't know anything about it other than I just feel like every couple of years or so, it's like he's involved in, and like I said, some sort of a storyline or some sort of an issue, and that's kind of followed him around wherever he's gone. And I vaguely remember this, but that's some big brain stuff. Kind of reminds me of Dan Lanning with like kind of thinking outside of the box, how to. You're like, oh God, I forgot about that way that you could do things. This is like much lower percentage, but that's interesting.
I mean, Belichick was like that. He knew every rule and everything about it. And then so much like Dan Lanning, they changed the rule. Like when they're like, hey, did you do this on purpose? And he's like, I mean, I guess.
It's legal. It's a loophole, but now it's not. They've closed it.
Yep. Okay. Poll questions. Is Brian Kelly a good fit to be Michigan's next head coach? Baggage and scandals equals perfect fit. No, Michigan will find worse. Man, Andrew,
really led them with this option, didn't you,
Andrew paints inside the plate. Like, he throws a lot of brushback pitches. That's for
so
sure.
how about I think he'd be great.
Yeah.
Oh no, can't pick that.
I
don't know if I think he'd be a fine coach there. I don't know that you're really like celebrating it too much, but I mean, he's definitely better than a lot of other options out there. He's more towards the top than he is towards the middle or towards the bottom, probably what they'll be picking from. But again, I don't know, with as long as they've apparently been aware of this.
Yeah.
Seems like they've had some time to procure some names and add some stuff to a list that they might want to use to find their next head coach. And
you just wonder if
somewhere on there,
the PR, this is going to not be a PR thing because of all the stuff about players saying I had no relationship with him, and
possibly. I mean, that could very well work against him, and he also doesn't need the money, right? So we'll see, but that's a name that you got to at least include as far as the speculation goes right now at this point. And I think Kenny Dillingham's obviously a guy being thrown around, and Jed Fish is another that seems like he might just be the kind of the boring pick, but the logical pick. But those three, and we'll see who else.
Tommy Reese is one.
Tommy Reese,
he's with the Browns right now. But okay, next poll: which Heisman finalist would you sub out for Jacob Rodriguez?
The winner.
31% said Mendoza. 26% said Julian Say, and that's who I would have subbed out.
That's who I would have subbed out too.
Yeah, because I think Pavia and Love and Mendoza all I think are all deserving to be there. But I would like to see Jacob Rodriguez sitting in those final chairs.
Yeah, I think it would have been a cool little wrinkle to have him there. Not trying to knock Sayin at all, but yeah, I definitely think I would move him out of his top four and put Rodriguez there. I like the other. I think the other three are rock solid. So if I had to choose one, that's who I would choose. I'd choose Rodriguez for Julian Sayin. But I've also said I would choose Pavia as my Heisman Trophy winner, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably hear Mendoza winning that tomorrow. Not that he won't be deserving. So we'll see how that goes. We'll talk about it on Monday.
Yeah, I can't wait for him to thank all the kids in his D&D campaign.
Right, yeah. Hopefully this is exciting in his post-game interview. Then that'll be some viral stuff come from that.
Yeah, as in Diego Pavia, completely different personality. But
I mean, if he wins, then it really will probably be some. Theo Vaughn will be on stage, and who knows the calamity that will follow suit if Diego were to win that award. But that's a good little group, and I do think it would have been cool to see Jacob Rodriguez out there. But
absolutely.
Oh well.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us. We will see you on Monday, everybody. Have a great weekend.